Good afternoon to you wherever you're watching from around the world, and welcome to Desert Springs in Spain. We've got some T20 International cricket coming to you this weekend. This is the first of a 6-match series between Spain, Norway and Guernsey. Well, each team will play each other twice. I think it'll be really interesting. All these teams, they're pretty tightly bunched on the ICC T20 International rankings. And we're starting with match 1. It's the only match today on Friday, and we're going to see Norway take on Guernsey. Let's go over to the officials and the captains for the all-official coin toss.
Heads. We have a head. That. Play one.
So it is Norway that's won the toss, and Kaiser Ahmed, their skipper. Well, I'll get you to come over here and have a quick chat to us. So you've won the toss, Kaiser, and look, you've elected to bat. Firstly, welcome, and I bet you were pretty excited to play some international cricket this weekend.
Definitely. I think the weather's turned for the good now, and we've had a good couple of hours practice this morning. So the boys are looking forward to it, and I just think, well, the track looks really good. It's a good surface. From what I'm told, might hold some moisture later on. So that's why we've elected to bat first, and then we see from there on.
Yeah, well, I do think it's a good toss to win and at least have a bat. A bit of unknowns. There was a bit of rain, wasn't there, last night? But the pitch looks like it looks pretty good. Who do you think you're going to send out there to open the batting, and what can we expect from your batting unit first up?
Well, I'm going myself with Raza Iqbal to open, and it's our first match of the tournament, so we're looking for a bit of positivity, play positive cricket, and play on the merits, and then see how things turn up. But I'm very hopeful.
Well, I know you haven't had too much success since it's been all international cricket has been kind of official T20 internationals, but you have played these guys before, just in the one official T20 international. You didn't win, but you're pretty closely clustered on the rankings. Do you think that this time you might be able to get one over them finally?
Well, I think credit to Guernsey, they're a great side. They've been practicing quite well as well. But for us, it's mostly to focus on our strengths and also get a good start to the tournament, and I'm very positive with the changes that we made in the team, that we have all the bases covered for the tournament.
Okay, Kaiser, best of luck this week and good luck in the first match. Okay, we've also got Josh Butler here, the Guernsey skipper. So, of course, they didn't win the toss. They will be fielding first. Josh, firstly, welcome. It must be great to be in Spain and playing some international cricket. And look, how do you think your prospects are this weekend?
Yeah, very exciting. Obviously, the weather's perked up for us. Ground looks great. We're ready to go, to be honest. So, keen to start.
And what about losing the toss and being forced to field first? Did that bother you at all?
We're actually going to bowl anyway, so 20 overs, the wicket shouldn't change too much, so the best team should generally win on the day, so looking forward to it.
Okay, and tell us, who should we be looking out for in your lineup this weekend?
Opening bats, Matt Stokes and Zach Damrell, right and left hand combination. They play in the same club as well, so they're set out, so they should go pretty well. Okay, well, look, best of luck to you. I'll let you get ready, and good luck in this game and this weekend. Okay, so the news from the toss here in match 1 of 6 T20 internationals this weekend is that Norway, they've won the toss. They'll be batting first. I'm looking forward to it. Let's get ready for some cricket. Yes, here we go. Welcome to Desert Springs. You can see we're just in the first over of the first of 6 T20 internationals. And it is Norway batting first against Guernsey. Vinny Sander here, Mr. Maximo, with you. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing these, not just these two teams, but include the host Spain. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting series. They're ranked 38, 39 and 41 in the world right now. Yeah, just getting things started. And this is Kaiser Ahmed, the captain, who's out there. Will also do the keeping for Norway. And got Will Peatfield, who is the opening bowler. So 20 overs aside, something we haven't seen this year on the European Cricket Network. But it's certainly great to be here and Just a warm welcome to all of our viewers, and just a reminder, you can join us in the live chat, ECN European Cricket Network. I certainly hope you settle in for some high-quality cricket this weekend. See Kaiser Ahmed running out of patience there. He's out there with Raza Iqbal at the other end, who's a pretty experienced customer. This one's called a wide. He's a pretty experienced guy. We saw him playing in the ECC. Both these guys we have seen before. And, I know a lot of people have been looking forward to this. So if you are watching from Norway or Guernsey, very well welcome. Spenny Sandu here. No matter where you're watching from, it's great to have your company. Field is driven down the ground. Won't beat mid-off. I think Norway, pretty good decision, I think, to get out there and have a bat. And conditions look perfect for cricket, in fact. It's currently 20 degrees. And, lots of blue sky, just a few little fluffy clouds. It's a wonderful complex here at Desert Springs. There might be desert around, but this ground looks lush. It looks in great shape.
Clear zoom.
No, this one doesn't quite carry to mid-on. And the chase will be on. It'll be the first runs off the bat at least. And it will be 2 to Kaiser Ahmed. It's a bit of an uppish stroke. The wind is going a little bit right to left on your screen. Of course, we'll just have the camera at this one end, the main camera. And I'm sure that could be a factor, that wind assisting the shots to the left of screen, so it assists the leg side for the right-handers from this end. There's a real crack at this. This time it is fielded. So it'll be the end of the first over. But 4 runs off it. The score is 4 for none. This is a great chance to say hello to a few people in the live chat. And I can see quite a few familiar faces there. To Phil, Liam, James, Helix as well. Great to have your company. See the first over. Just had a single and a wide and a 2, as well as 4 dot balls. And so if you have any questions, please throw them in. It's just me going solo here in Spain. Yeah, there's a few players we have seen in ECC cricket. Also a couple from the ECL. So I know that Guernsey, their champion club Griffins, were part of the ECL. And they were pretty good to watch as well. Norway, we saw them in the ECC, the International T10 last September and October. And also they were represented by Björvika in the ECL recently. Second over coming up, and it's Matthew Stokes to bowl. Worked away, nicely worked away by Raza Iqbal. He's pretty comfortable so far. Yeah, a few names in Guernsey, surnames at least, that you might be familiar with. You've got a Stokes and a Butler playing, but there's Matt Stokes bowling right now. And the captain, Joshua Butler, or Josh Butler, is leading Guernsey. And yeah, both these teams, when I look at their T20 international records, it only really tells the last part of the story. As in 2019, all the ICC affiliated nations, their international matches were classed as T20Is. So these two teams have only met once in T20 international cricket, official T20 international cricket, and it was Guernsey. They got the win on that occasion. Worked away off the back foot, but no run. That was a while ago now. So I'm sure they'd be keen to square the ledger. That was all the way back in June 2019. On that occasion, Guernsey winning by 4 wickets. So Norway with a 2-8 record. So 2 wins out of their 10 matches in T20 international cricket. But they have played some good opposition. I did notice that when I looked at that stat. Oh, this could be trouble. He's played across this. The keeper's after it, and he catches it. So Isaac Damerel takes the catch. He just tried to go across that one to the captain, Kaiser Ahmed, and Stokes gets an early breakthrough. It's a good bit of bowling. I think maybe he just gets a bit of shape with the wind, which is going right to left on your screen. You saw Kaiser just kind of closing the face on that. It flew in the air. See there, I mean, it was straightening down the line. If he missed it, he was going to be in trouble. Real LBW candidate. And that's a pretty good catch, got to say, for Damerel to go find that. I like the way he just turns himself towards the ball. He stays keeps his body the way that the wind's blowing it to him, because it is kind of right to left. Good bit of wicket keeping, good bit of bowling as well, got to say. Guernsey get an early one. And so speaking of international records of these countries, look at Guernsey. They've got a 3 and 6 record. Their story is they lost their first 6 T20 internationals starting in May 2019, but then they have won their last 3 against Norway, Denmark and Isle of Man. So it just shows you, having said that, I mean, because of coronavirus, there hasn't been a whole lot of international cricket on the calendar of late. This one gets up. And something that'll take me a bit of getting used to is that they take a catch and the other batter's on strike. So that's a rule we've had in ECN or ECS cricket for quite a while now, but officially that change will only be made in October in the laws of cricket. So that's why you see that it is Iqbal on strike. It's a bit short. And this is going to be a one-hopper out to deep square leg. Nice bit of fielding out there by Tom Nightingale. So yeah, just casting my eye through the live chat. Luke's in there. I know that's I've missed you. Do apologise. Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting weekend. James Stewart saying, is it a golf resort? Well, it is. It's principally a golf resort, but there's a fair bit of accommodation around here. Got to say, really enjoyed it so far. And I had a nice, relaxing morning, watching a bit of the cricket from Romania, and having a nice English breakfast by, well, it was more like 11 o'clock, so it was certainly a little bit more of a slower start to the day with a 3 p.m. start local time. Turn away, no fine leg, or beats the fine leg, and essentially this will run away for the first boundary of the series. It's a nice shot by a player that we saw a fair bit of back in the ECC, Wally Gowrie. He was the first T20 International hat-trick taker, but now with the bat, we know he's also a pretty classy unit, and this one is a little bit leg stumpish, and Will Peatfield wasn't going to chase that down. Will also be the end of the over. So score at the end of 2 is 10 for 1, and a boundary and a wicket in that over. 2 firsts for this T20 International Tri-Series. It's great to have T20 cricket back on ECN. There's a lot of interest surrounding this series. Razik Bell facing up. Peatfield gets second over. He's round the wicket. Push and run. One thing I would say is that these teams all put quite a big focus on their fielding. I think it's one of the big differences you're going to see compared to what you might see in the European Cricket Series, for example. I mean, also the conditions. It's a beautiful field to field on. There's not too many excuses out there. I think the Tortuga is taking a holiday because I think the bounces will be pretty true. Say hello to Neville, who's watching from Australia, and Graham Holmes. And, he liked what Butler said at the toss, said, well, we were going to bowl anyway. It's always a common answer that you'll hear.
Yeah, they do. It just adds a bit. Do they usually put some on the far side as well?
Well, what the voice you're hearing there is Corey Rutgers, who might not realise he's right near one of the effects microphones. So a few people asking how Corey's going. You can probably hear how he's going. Maybe he's going to give us some of his tactics. I know that the Spanish team are watching pretty intently. Well, get a bit of an insight, don't you? If you can hear the Rut talking, it's just something he likes to do a lot of. He keeps a little bit low. Yeah, just talk about this pitch. I think it's a pretty good pitch. I mean, it's remarkable for being unremarkable. I think it's not slow, but it's not quick. I think there's a little bit of grass on it. I think there'll be something for everybody. Essentially, I think it's a pretty good batting deck. Now, I would have thought something like 140 or so might be a pass score, but I guess we don't really know. Very early in the season for these guys as well.
No, I was here for a while, then I went back for a little bit.
Just worked away by Gowrie. I always like to watch. It's also a pretty good start by Guernsey in the field. A lot of energy, as you'd imagine. Helix asking how many coffees Corey's had. I cannot tell you, but I tell you what, he looks like a completely different character. He's in his Spanish team kit. Had the zinc on. He had big sun hat on. Yeah, pretty as a picture, this ground, and the conditions are wonderful. Pretty good line. Also say a big hello to all the officials, and we've got Andrew Elliott out there, no stranger to us at ECN. He's out there with Gordon Ashford. They're the on-field officials for this first match, and third umpire Darren Clark. And they will be making all the decisions on the field, so we don't really have any kind of review systems in place. Of course, this game is a T20 International. It's played according to the relevant regulations. Pretty straight, taken off the stumps. Yeah, it's a nice throw from Luke Bichard, another player we saw a bit of on ECN, European Cricket League. This one knocks middle stump out of the ground, but safely home. And the score at the end of 3 overs is 14 for 1. Well, a few people asking about Corey. Well, he's just appeared behind me. I don't have a microphone for you, Corey, but you can come close to me. How are you?
I'm good, Vinny. How close can I get?
A few people are missing you. Just looking early on. I was saying, obviously the conditions are wonderful here, about 20 degrees. I said the pitch is, like I said, it's remarkable for being unremarkable. It seems like pretty even pace, not too quick, not too slow. Yeah, true. True is the word that you just used there. And we know both of these players from the ECC last year when they played for Norway. As Iqbal, in fact, led the side back then. Now the captaincy has been taken over by Hazar Ahmed. Bichard taking over the bowling. Oh, this one's edge. Oh, I call it a drop, but it was a pretty difficult chance. Took a big deflection, and Damarel gets a little bit of the leather on it. He certainly didn't get a full hand on it. In the end, you'd say he's done well to save 4. See there, big edge. I mean, might have stuck in the webbing. It just kind of burst through. So, a bit of a life there for Raza Iqbal. Bichard will be upset. It's interesting for me that they have replaced the bowler. I mean, I think that Stokes did take a wicket in his first. I know this is T20 International Cricket, so 4 overs are available. Would have thought maybe Stokes would have wanted a second over, especially because he was getting ball to shape. And having said that, Bichard did create an opportunity of his own. Off the back foot by Lowry. You can see it's like lifting intensity, I think, compared to some of the cricket. Not often these guys get to play for their country. Well, Helix did have the question, how many coffees has Corey had? Are you going to tell us how many coffees you've had today while you're here? So you don't, so you think the coffee affects your judgment, does it? You're bouncing around. I think you've had a couple. And he's gone, and Bichard gets the wicket. The change does the trick for Guernsey. And Iqbal's going to have to go. He struggled a little bit for his timing while he was there. And now he becomes the second wicket to fall. 15 for 2. And it probably wasn't the best shot from Raza Iqbal. Certainly seemed like a concerted plan to come round the wicket to Iqbal. He just tries to hit this to the leg side, trying to hit with the wind. Seeing that Bichard seemed to be getting a little bit of movement away off the deck. He's a good young cricketer. He's going searching for that. Crashes into the top of off stump. A pretty good place to put the ball. So Guernsey making the early running after Norway won the toss, and Hazar Ahmed elected to bat. They find themselves in a little bit of early trouble. Bilal Safdar is the new batter. Day, just letting everyone know it's the official home ground of Spain and the national team. I know that The Spanish team, they do a lot of training here when they're able to. And they're up Lounge for a second ground here as well. So it's just wonderful to see. I suppose a different format, but a few familiar faces. Also, we've got a turf wicket. Very often an ECN as well. Come on, Bishy is the call from Guernsey. Saftar faces up for the first time in the series. Worked away. Bowling a bit more of a consistent length, I suppose, longer form of the game. They're bowling a wicket-taking length. It's good footwork by Saftar. Just punch that away. Bishard's bowling with some good rhythm here. Question about the Norwegian captain. Yes, it is. It's Hazar Ahmed that's taken over. Players that do remember, including Bino Ravi, including Gary, of course, mentioned him, and Raza. So Mohammed Shah Sahak. One. Oh, has a crack at it. I think he was going to be home. Pretty good fielding by Stokes. It's already a wicket taker. Joined by Bishard in that over. So, end of the over, be 16 for 2. See here, it's going to be reasonably tight. So 4 overs down. Yeah, certainly, you'd say there's Guernsey on top at the moment. What I will say is, if you are watching, maybe now's a great time to drop in the chat. ECN European Cricket Network. I'm going to do a really early lurker call out, which is if you're watching, you can't normally get in the chat. Get in the chat just now. So I'm a bit lonely here. It would be great to hear where you're watching from. I see that Vinny Fangirl's in the chat, asking how different is it to commentate a T20 match from a T10 game. I would say there's a lack of urgency, but there's still an intensity to it. So I think what you'll see is that the players have a bit more time to write their story. That's the difference. So you see the batters being a bit more careful early, or a lot more careful early. So they don't want to get wicket trouble, and Norway would be a bit concerned with the 2 wickets so far. Here's a man that we saw in the ECL fairly recently, David Hooper, bowling for Guernsey. Guernsey, they're not afraid to make changes to their bowlers, even when bowlers have done well. Pete Field, he went for 4 and 3 in his 2 overs. I suppose it just keeps their options open. So Pete Field still has 2 of his 4 possible overs remaining. So I've got to say hello to a few people that have just snuck in to the chat. They're heeding my lurker call out. Super. Jumps, will knock down. Stokes is everywhere at the moment. Just knocked it down and stopped any chance of a run, and the fielders scrambled to prevent any single. So Hooper's got a good change of pace. He'll kind of be searching for a little edge first up, on that heavy kind of length. This one's Yorker length and dug out. Goes down to Ollie Newey, down at third man. Comes up Maiden Waters, enjoying the turf wickets and white picket fences. Yeah, there's a bit of a traditional feel to this ground, but obviously not a very traditional place to play cricket in Spain, but it's happening. Charlie Hunt's in the chat as well. Hello, Charlie. Zahu as well. And Joey Marples, good to see you in there. Watching the legend Lorne Burns make his debut in this series. Yeah, there's quite a few debutants. Not only for Spain, but across the board. Congratulations to everyone who's making their international cricket debut this weekend in Desert Springs. See right-hander on strike now. So some discussion about whether perhaps the fielder was moving Now the bowler's running in. Of course, that's not really on. All right. Ready to go. Here's Hooper. It's fairly drivable early in the innings. So Safta misses out on this one. Missing the inside part of the bat. Doesn't offer it this one. Let's say hello to Tim Kluger, who's watching from Australia. So it's good to watch a T20 game between some up-and-coming teams. Hello to you, Tim. It's great that you're with us. Let us know which part of Australia you're from. There's a few Australians, or former Australians, around here. Liam's enjoying the chat from the Guernsey boys. Yeah, their microphone's picking up a bit, I've got to say. I'm hearing a bit of it too. Wow. Hooper gives it a throw. And head to the over, 18 for 2. I was a bit concerned from my angle. That the batter was in some danger, but I don't think so in the end. So yeah, already quarter way through the innings. Norway only with the 18 runs. Just a solitary boundary in the first 5 overs. It's going to be Bishard to bowl once again. You see there, just the top over being 6 so far, so no overs have really gotten away. And obviously the 2 wickets falling in the 2nd and 4th over, helping keep the brakes on. Bishard in the 6th. Springs off the bat of Wally Gary. I think he's a player, if he gets in, he's very capable of hurting you. He's like a classy player. Good technique, good temperament as well. Bishard, someone that found T10 cricket pretty interesting when we saw him playing for his club side Griffins back in February. Slightly different conditions here. Such a drive once again, finds the fielder. Another direct hit. They've been on fire so far with those direct hits. Don't want to waste them if you're Guernsey, but nice bit of fielding. Yeah, sends a message to the opposition. I think when you're Guernsey here, you just want to keep this phase of the game going as long as possible. You can keep it tight. That run rate's dropped to 3.4 now. The longer you can do that, the more likely you are to kind of force an error out of the batters who are going to have to look to lift it at some point. Let's crack at this one. Slightly shorter from Bishard. So, yeah, some nice shots, but picked the field out a few times. Couldn't make any contact with that one. I think that one from Bishard. Push and run. He's trying to get something going here. Gary moves to 8. Van Gogh asking. If I'm missing the action of ECS, well, I wasn't missing it because I was watching it today. Seeing it's going right down to the wire in Romania. I'll give you an interesting stat. I said that these countries are ranked 38, 39 and 41 in the ICC T20 International rankings. Do you know who's 40? It is Romania in the middle. Of course, Romania is where the European Cricket Series is at the moment. Away down to 3rd man. Of course, 6 over power play is coming to an end. At the end of this over, just one more ball left in it. And look, any power play where the opposition only scores the 1 boundary, you've got to say that's a big win for the fielding side. As it will be Gary to face the last ball of the power play. Bishop's been very good. 1 for 5. The question is, do you give him a 3rd over here? Or do you maybe use another option? Not afraid of making a change. This is certainly an audition to get another over straight away as he beats the outside edge of Gary. It's 6 overs down. And Guernsey well on top. They've got Norway 20 for 2. If he offers it that or thinks maybe to let it go. But what I would say is the same principles apply. I think that we've been talking about in the European Cricket Series this season, in the European Cricket League. It's early in the season, the batters, they wouldn't have had a lot of actual match practice. So sometimes I expect slightly lower scores. It's just to do with the fact that batters, if they make one mistake, that's it. The bowlers have a bit more time to work themselves into the game. If they make some mistakes, they can kind of do something about it and come back. Whereas for the batters, it's a pretty brutal game. So yeah, you've got to realise it is early in the season by European cricket standards as far as the international scene. It's going to be Matthew Stokes to come on, and did bowl the second over. Now he's going to bowl from the top end. He's bowling to Gilal Safdar. It's a very good start. So it certainly seems like a tactic to continue with the pace at this phase of the game. And you can understand that because it's working. We've seen Petefield bowling 2 overs, Bishard bowling 2, Hooper with 1, and Stokes with his second. Lost this, but always felt like it was a little bit high. There's a leg by called. Was climbing, I think. So Stokes certainly has been troubling the batters so far. And one thing I think that the bowlers have done well so far, they've adjusted well from left hand to right hand batters, and I think that's something that shows we're playing a slightly higher level of cricket. Gary, he wants to, but he won't get it. He just hits it pretty much straight down the line to the fielder. It's Dick Martell. So Gary's clever. He knows he's not getting boundaries, so he's looking to manufacture maybe a 2 there, but it just wasn't there. Got to say hello to Julian Dawson. Well, he's always lurking. Hello to you, Julian, from Hertfordshire. It's great to see some T20 European cricket. Yeah, sure. And Mahendra Sahu, big fan of Hooper. Safdar pushes, doesn't get a run here. Mahendra's asking, am I missing Rico? Well, I mean, I'm not really missing him because I was listening to him all morning. And big thanks to Rico and all of the crew over there, European Cricket Network crew. I'm missing you already. We've got our own crew here. We've got Mahel, we've got Neil Cash helping us out, as well as all the actual officials organising this T20 International Series. A little bit short. They've got protection now, of course, up to 5 outfielders are allowed at this stage. So got a bit more insurance with that shorter delivery. And yeah, the boundaries here a bit longer as well. I'd say they're around the 65-metre mark in most parts of the ground. So just been all singles so far, except for the 1-2 and the 1-4. I feel like this will just be one again. It'll be the end of the 7th over. The score is 24 for 2. So, yeah, pretty good start this from Guernsey. So, looks to me like we can see Dick Martell bowling. So yeah, we will see a change of pace for the first time from Guernsey. I mentioned that the only time we've seen these two teams meet in official T20 International cricket back in 2019, it was Guernsey that got the honours, and they have played a lot more before all international matches received T20 international status, but Guernsey do seem to have the wood on the Norwegians. Maiden Waters asking, is it summer suit time? Well, I've kind of got a bit of a Peacock Friday feel to me. I don't know if you noticed or not, but I've got a kind of what I felt was a fitting shirt. It's kind of it's a bit like the terrain around here. Martell you got in the block hole first up. Good start from him. You You've got to be feeling the pressure. I think if you're out there, you look, Gary's now 10 off 17. After 4 off 10. This one's a little bit short. It's hit straight down the throat of the fielder. Ah, well, isn't it typical? The pacemen have slaved away. And now, Martel's bowled a dirty half tracker and he's got a wicket. Nightingale takes the catch. It's Tom Nightingale down there at deep square leg. And that's frustrating. A good player goes Gowrie. Just couldn't manufacture anything here. He goes for 10. And the score now is 24 for 3. Norway dive deeper into trouble. So frustration for the batter. He finally saw one that he could get away. But he could only hit it straight down the throat of Tom Nightingale, who stood and took a good catch. That is the side of the field that's assisted with the wind as well. So an issue here, I think, with Gowrie. He doesn't hit it down, but he doesn't hit it up either. He just kind of hits it flat, and he hits it straight at the boundary rider. Say hello to Amit Kumar and to Martindale Bradley, to Louis Bruce. He's calling it the Burns unit. All the Lorne Burns supporters. If you are part of the Burns unit, let us know. People saying it's tough to score boundaries, and we'll see. I mean, I think it is a lush outfield, but I think the bowling's been pretty good so far. The boundary's well protected as well. So the boundary rider's more like 60 off the bat. So you might get a few twos to them if you're lucky. Patel gets this one right. New batter out there is Ali Tafsir. So now we've got 2 right-handers at the crease. I think that'll suit the leg spinner, Dec Martel. A little bit short. They're going to have a crack at the bowler's end, but not too much on the throw. So crashed into the gloves, I think, of Tafsir, but he is off the mark with a single. I think the gloves are very high on the bat. Full toss this time, hit straight back at Martel. He's got lucky with a couple where he's just missed his lengths, but hasn't really hurt him too much. That's better. Good bowling, Safdar. Has to show it some respect. End of the over, so 8 overs down. The score's 25 for 3. Yeah, so I mean, some people asking out there if that's a wicket maiden. It was just 1 off the over from Dec Martel. Went dot, wicket, dot, 1, dot, dot. Remember, it was Tafsir that got off the mark in that over. Now, one thing I will remember as well, even though this is international cricket, a lot of people might be watching for the first time or aren't really experienced cricket watchers. If that's the case, if you have any questions, put them in the chat, ECN European Cricket Network. So what makes this different from a lot of the other cricket we show on ECN, or most of it, is that these are 20 over matches. So each over has 6 balls or 6 deliveries that will be bowled. So you're going to have 120 legal deliveries in this innings compared to the 60 that we normally have in a 10 over match. So the effect that has is that you'll find that compared to the 10 over format, the batters have a bit more time to build an innings. They won't be as hyper aggressive, although it still is a fairly short form of the game by traditional cricket standards. As we see Hooper coming back into the attack. He bowled a pretty good first over, didn't he? Which only went for 2. I must say it's been fascinating for me how Josh Butler, the Guernsey skipper, has juggled his bowlers so far. I wonder if it's kind of preordained when they're going to bowl, because he seems to have not been too swayed by the fact that they might have had success in their over. Oh, okay, could be trouble here, and there's going to be a run out. Oh, that's a disaster. And, well, that's what pressure does. You see the non-striker just over-committing. Don't know if there was a call from the striker, but he never looked keen. And Dave Hooper does well there. He gets back to the stumps to receive the throw. And once again, you talk about the kind of the higher level of professionalism at this form of cricket. You don't have to be a professional cricketer to be professional. You see Safdar pushes, and really, Butler, he identifies the situation perfectly. He knows he doesn't have to throw it super hard. He just kind of underarms a little pass to Dave Hooper. And it results in the run out of Ali Tafsir, who scores 2. It'll go no further as he becomes the 4th wicket. Norway, after winning the toss and legs into bat in this first T20 International of 6 this weekend in Desert Springs, they are 26 for 4. So Neville in the chat just saying that he's coming down to Sydney in a couple of weeks for his 70th with his twin brother. I didn't know you had a twin brother, Nev. This one's hit back, and yeah, Hooper doesn't mind a throwback. So yeah, happy 70th to you, Nev. I'm going to say hello to Tarek as well, who's joined us, and Ninj, to Phil G, who's watching from the Czech Republic as well. Pitches up, flipped away, but geez, they've been good at picking out the sweepers so far, Norway. That'll just be a single. And look, we're going to have some more T20 International cricket next month. I say next month, it's only a couple of weeks away. We'll have the Valletta Cup from Malta. It's a 6-nation tournament. So that'll be wonderful. That's only a couple of weeks away. Not even, in fact. Runs from Tuesday to Sunday. A couple of weeks. Laid down by Safdar. Luke saying that Norway in big trouble now. Yeah, you could say that. It's got to be a concern, especially so early in the series. That's why, you know, it's brave to bat first, and I think it's probably sensible, but it is something that can backfire. A lot of people think, you know, fielding, because it's something you can do as a team, it's one way to kind of dispel the nerves a little bit. There's the slower ball, and it's ill-directed. This will be a test for the outfield. I don't think it's going to go. In fact, yeah, pulls up a few yards to go. I think this will be wide. Yeah, that's wide. Tough one for the keeper down the leg side. I did mention that Hooper does have a good slower ball. Hasn't had to bowl it too much so far. You see that keeper Isaac Damarel couldn't get down in time, even though it was a slower delivery. That's not an easy one because the batter does obscure your vision a little bit, or a lot. Louis asking. Going to the Valletta Cup as we get to the end of the 9th over. The score is 28 for 4. Still 3 and over, not too many more at the moment. Unfortunately, I won't be going to the Valletta Cup. I would like to, really would, but I do have a couple of weeks off starting on Monday, and it's something that I've been thinking about for a little while, obviously. It's just give me an opportunity to observe from a distance for a couple of weeks, Louis, but I know you'll probably, well, hopefully you'll be there. So I may have a little bit of a smoky commentating for us. I'll be able to announce that over the weekend. Yeah, but a former first-class player and a bit of an ECN cult hero. That's who I'm working on for commentary duties, and it's with some special guests from Malta as well helping out in that 6-day tournament. But I'll be watching like everyone else. All right, so here's Martel back for a second over. Yeah, getting a bit of turn. Certainly getting a bit out of this deck. I wouldn't have said it would take a bunch of spin. It's not dusty or anything like that. It's pitched up, and this one will test the outfielder. And yeah, it's a good stop. Yeah, very, very good outfield. You can see there. That is Tom Nightingale. Took a good catch earlier. He was the one that was able to hurl it back in, but I've got to say, it was Hooper, I think, first up. Hooper knocks it back, and then Nightingale hurls it in. Good fielding. This one's spit straight past the outside edge. Yeah, I like what Martel's offering here. Get a good wrist spinner at this form of the game. Worth the weight in gold. He's putting a bit on the ball, Tech Martel. Oh, this one, how does it get through? Oh, again, just yorking the batter, just kind of turning past the stumps. He gets it right, he's a real handful, Tech Martel. He gets it wrong. He's hit a ball. That's almost an acrobatic catch. Wow. I mean, this one would have been one for the ages. And it wasn't a good delivery either. The fielder went across to his right. He anticipated it. And yeah, that's Matthew Stokes. He's already shown he's a very good fielder. He had to be to get a hand on that one. There's the reverse. This one picks the gap, and this one will go for 4. Well, when you're not coming the regular way, you have to get a bit funky, and that's exactly what Salim does here. Oh, Sufyan Salim decides to hit with the spin. It's a bit of a risky shot, but I think that was turning to miss the stumps anyway, so very good bit of batting, and it takes us to end of the over. Score is 38 for 4. Well, you want an overview of what's happening? And we can show you this weekend. We have 6 matches in total, just the one today. And then we have 3 tomorrow, 2 on Sunday. Of course, you've got Guernsey and Norway playing right here. The third team are the host nation, Spain. So we've got Hooper coming back. Slightly different start times every day as well. So we'll get that information as soon as we can. Here is Hooper in over number 11. That's normally all we get on ECN, 10 overs. If you stop the clock right now, or as we see, a half a chance here. Wow, this could be out, you know. Oh, very good bit of fielding. Oh, well, the only thing I thought, the way it was looking, that if this hits, he's so far down. Oh, must have just got back. Probably wasn't the most powerful throw from Damarel. They've been on fire with the direct hits, Guernsey. Little French card, and then the keeper throws it nowhere. Well, this one's a European Cricket Series special if ever I saw one. I like what he was thinking there. He was going to turn around and he was going to hurl it with his wrong hand, flicking it back at the stumps. And he does it 90 degrees of where it was meant to go. So, Damarel, cue the spectacular. Worked away for 1. I don't know if we'll get another look at that from the keeper. But he turns and rolls and just blindly flicks at the stumps. Just misses by, I'll say, 270 degrees. I was going to say after 10 overs, if you stop the clock on a T10 at 38, wouldn't be pretty good at all. Wouldn't be very good at all. But I suppose that's the beauty of the 20 over format. You do have a chance to recover from this situation, but they are 4 wickets down already. Slow ball. I think that one's going down the leg side. Bowling by Bichard. He's been swung around to the top end as well. He was pretty good, wasn't he? And overs 4 and 6. He's conceding 3 off his first over, 2 off his second, so he's been really tight so far. The biggest over we've had is 7. That was in the last over from Martel, which finished in the reverse sweep for 4. So yeah, Bichard's been impressive. He's certainly a guy I thought had a bit about him. We saw him at the ECL playing for Griffins. Yeah, Griffins had their moments. They just seem to have a few injuries and fatigue issues at the end of the week. A really enjoyable team to watch, on and off the field. Bichard, good young player. I think you learn a lot about bowling under pressure, even though it's a different format, but I still think there's a lot you can gain. A lot you can gain from the T10 format and just playing in such a large format, televised cricket. This one can see the batter trying something. Safta can't catch up with this one. So Bichard once again a tight over from him. Only 3 off that one. 11 overs down. The score is 41 for 4. And that run rate just seems to be bogged, doesn't it, between 3 and 4 and over. Got to say hello to Andy House as well, and if there's anyone else that wants to say hello, please do. Now's a great time. There's a few people that are watching both. I mean, have to check, but I would think by now that the ECS would have just been finished, so I don't want to spoil the result for anyone that might be watching, but I have been keeping an eye on it. I won't ask anyone in the chat to spoil it for me anyway. I can just look it up. Anyway, here is Tom Nightingale. He's going to come on. Here's the bowler we haven't seen just yet. First one, kind of stand-up sweep from Saftar. He'll feel like he has to go on with it after hitting up 20 balls. Guernsey, I mean, the marker of this inning so far has been they're tight bowling, not too many bad balls, but their fielding intensity. We talked about that being so important. This one taken off the stumps, swept away, and one that was a bit risky because he gets so far across, he almost gives up his stumps. There's Pete Field, a little bit sore and sorry after having to field that one. Worked away. We haven't really seen what I call a shot fired in anger. Yes, we saw the reverse sweep that went for 4. Only the second boundary of the innings as well. So, I mean, when you're deep in the 12th over and you've only the 2 boundaries, that's got to be worrying. Bowled. Nightingale, defensive kind of off-spin bowler. He's not really tossing him up here. Just hustling through his overs. There's reverse again. And that's fine enough to beat the fielder, Bichard. And this one is going to go for 4 as well. Now, Saftar, he's in manufacturing, because that's what he has to do to get the boundary. It was always on, to be honest, against Tom Nightingale. He's sliding the ball that way. So he's not really turning it a lot. So he's going with the angle. And just spots, I think, that Bichard is quite square there, short third man. A good bit of batting. At the end of the over, the score is 48 for 4. So finally, they cracked the 4 and over. Let's have a look at what we've got coming up for you this weekend in Spain. So this is the only game today. And tomorrow, we start at 7 a.m. GMT, which is 9 o'clock in Central Europe, and 12:30 in India. It's the exact same time the ECS starts. But Norway, Spain, kicking things off in the morning. It's just dabbed away. And well cut off there by Newey. Just a single. Yeah, so we've got Spain entering the tournament for the first time tomorrow. 3 games. They're 4 hours apart. You see Spain will play the first and last. These 2 teams will meet again in the middle game tomorrow. And we have the 2 to finish off on Sunday. Finish off with Spain versus Norway. So Spain playing twice on the Sunday. Tries to drive, but not that full from Bichard, who's bowling out here. Yeah, so there are no finals or anything here. All these games, obviously, they're for ranking points, and all these teams are pretty close together. I'm not an expert on that ranking point system, but I know that if you beat an opponent higher than you, then you get a bunch of points compared to if you beat an opponent lower than you. So Norway, actually, at the 41st, they're the lowest in this group, although, like I said, you've got Guernsey 38, Spain 39, and Norway 41. And if you just joined us, if you want to know who the 40th ranked team are in the world in T20 International Cricket, it is none other than Romania, where the ECS is at the moment. And you'll see Romania as part of the Valletta Cup in a couple of weeks, right here on ECN as well, as a tournament involving 6 nations, being hosted by Malta. Driven, but good fielding placement by Josh Butler. He's got himself in very tight. And he can sense for sure that Saftar's bogged down here. And that both of his boundaries have been from reverse sweeps off the spinner. So he's just struggling to find his timing. There's the slower ball. A couple of times we've seen the slower balls drag down the leg side. The stop balls have been pretty much on target. is always annoying. I mean, yeah, you get the wide from it, but it's the kind of ball that you feel you can score a boundary off. You got fine leg pretty fine. A deep square, but there's a big gap in between them. The wind's going that way as well. Gone, and well, Safdar's going to have to go, and he'll be disappointed. It's probably a soft dismissal if you look at it. It's just a length ball from Bishard. He doesn't keep it down. He doesn't go up. He just hits it straight at the captain, Josh Butler, who takes a pretty good catch. It was hit reasonably firmly, but you'd expect that at this level for that kind of catch to be taken. See, they're just trying to force it away off the back foot. Nice catch by the skipper. And Norway find themselves in even more strife. The 50 comes up in the 13th over, but it finishes with a wicket, and the wicket of a man who had been there for a while. Safdar goes for 15 off 28, and up to 13 overs. Score is 50 for 5. Oh, pardon me, we still have one ball to go on this over, so still 50 for 5, but with a ball to go. It was a wide, of course, the ball before. It was the 6th ball of the over, but it won't be the last. Neville Russ saying it's about time we saw a boundary. Well, I think some of the Norwegian fans, they'll be saying the same thing. And it's fair to say, if your name's Josh Butler, you'd expect him to have a pretty good pair of hands. He sure did there. You can just see how hard these teams work on their fielding. It's just so essential. New batter out there is Mohammad Sahak. He's had about enough, so he goes after it straight away, pitched up. This will be a test for the boundary, and I think it's... well, this is where we would normally probably have a look at it. I don't know if they've got that facility here. I think in the end it'll be a good stop. I don't think it'll be anything conclusive here anyway. But you do see it does touch the rope. Yeah, I mean, very hard to tell. I think that will just go down as a couple. And good signs of some attack from Sahak. They get 3 in the end. So he will keep the strike, and that's the end of the 13th over. It's 53 for 5. So now we're going to see Tom Nightingale taking over. At the bottom end, of course. And his first over went for 7. Did finish with a boundary. Yeah, some confirmation. Well, I thought it was, in fact now it has been given a 4. Okay, well I mean that's one that I certainly, even with a replay, I couldn't tell. I have to go with the on-field call, so it was given 4. So you have to correct me, it's 54 for 5. Nightingale. I mean, if I was playing him, I think I'd play him more as a slow medium pacer. He's even coming up. He's running in pretty quick for a spinner. Just trying to angle across. He's away straight to the fielder. Again, beats him with the angle. And Luke Belgium mentioning in the chat, far too many dot balls for Norway. Yeah, for sure. Say hello to Maya as well, who's joining us from Germany. And I know a lot of people are tuning in from all around Europe and the world. So a big welcome to you if you're just joining us. Sliced away. And yeah, we'll get at least a couple here, you'd think. Think of a third, but it's not there. Again, good team fielding. You see 3 fielders hustle to the ball there to prevent the possibility of a third. Again, just seems that even with these wickets going down, we're into kind of this last third of the innings. It's time to get moving. That's exactly what the batter tries to do here, but he has found the fielder who drops it. It's frustrating for Newey. The fielding standards have been very good so far by Guernsey. This one is a fairly comfortable chance at this level. And you normally have your best fielders down the ground. I think Newey's disappointed that he drops it. So a life for Bilal. Turn around the corner. Just be one. And so, great set, Tomo, was the call from Guernsey. As we get to the end of the 14th over, the score is 58 for 5. So, head into the next over, and we're still without a double figure over in the entire inning so far for Norway. So now we're going to get Stokes coming back. Matthew Stokes, that is. Bowled the 2nd and the 7th over. Had to wait a bit in between his overs. It's been pretty good so far. Just 6 came off his first, just 4 came off his second. I think there's a bit of a strategy to Guernsey with some of their pace bowlers to not bowl on too many in a row. Just so it's always a different look, and they're backing their unit to do it as a team. Now this is in the air, and this one will be out of the ground. Well, the first one of the weekend, Maximo. Mohammad Shersahak certainly has come out with a view to lifting the scoring. Well, somebody has to. He said, well, if no one else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. And he just takes that off a length and kind of wind assisted to that side of the ground. It's blowing pretty much straight across the ground. And so Stokes, he's the first bowler to be taking the journey. Smart cricket from Zahak. They might want 2 here. I think they should get it pretty comfortably. That's really good running. I've got to say, Mohammad Shersahak, he was one player that impressed me, playing for the Norwegian national team in the International T10 event last year. They just need something to turn for them, don't they, Norway? At the moment, I like what I'm seeing, but I mean, not a lot of time left. And then the other issue, there's a lot of time was spent kind of prodding around in the middle overs. And although you say it's been a fairly conservative approach, they haven't really built a substantial partnership at any stage of this innings, Norway. Slow ball, picked and cracked. Well, that had something on it and a half. Maximo! 2 in the over. Well, Stokes, it was a slower ball. It was back in the hand. There was nothing slow about the distance that it left the cricket ground. He's on the charge. That was a flat bat smack from Shersahak. The counter-attack is on now from the men from the north. Hello to Amit in the chat as well. Amit Kumar, as well as Ninja, and a big hello to Akib Iqbal, who's watching from Austria, I'm sure. Well, Akib, hopefully we see you at the ECS in Austria, which is coming up in just about 6 or 7 weeks' time. Pace on delivery this time from Stokes. He's had about enough of this. I think he'll be pretty happy to see Mohammad Shersahak down at the other end. Neville saying you play lawn bowls on this ground. You absolutely could. It is amazing. I said the Tortuga's taking a holiday because there's no bad bounces out here, I don't think. Flicked off the pads. Will be one. So 15 overs gone. We are 3/4 of the way through the innings now. That run rate has taken a little bit of an upward turn. It's knocking on the door of 5 and over. 74 after 15. So this might be a 15 over check-in. A bit like my 6 over check-in. I mean, from here, look, if you can even put 10s on the board from here, that was a pretty good over then. There were 16 off that over, and by some distance, it was the best over of the innings. Yeah, if you get 10s from here, 124, that's competitive. Ali Salim, he is Fighting hard, but Sahak has been the difference maker. So Salim will be facing up here. And it looks like Will Peatfield will be coming back. He opened up, he bowled overs 1 and 3. We haven't seen him since. He was pretty good early. Just went for 4 in the first over. Went for 3 singles in his second. Obviously using him at top and tails of the innings. Here he is bowling to Ali Salim. Good block hole delivery. Little things they do at this level, I like it. They're running that first one hard. Looking for a second if there's a fumble. But you won't see too many fumbles. So I will probably see a slightly different length as well employed by the paceman at this stage of the innings now. They'll be mostly full at the stumps, you'd imagine. Maybe more wide Yorkers as well. Just like that. Peatfield doing a good job. And Sahak, he's gone out there and he's in a heartbeat. He's the highest scorer in this innings. He's 20 off 8 now. It makes you think. It's only a 6-game tournament. Do you bat him a bit higher? I mean, he's coming in at number 7. A lot of activity around the ground. You can probably hear now. FX Mikes. A lot of people working hard to make this cricket ground look so magnificent. Again, that's that length. That's one. You know, you do have a bit of leeway on the line if you can bowl that block hole length. So you can get it on the stumps and attack the stumps, or you can bowl a bit wider like that from Peatfield. See, Sahak's been good, but he's feasted on length so far in his innings. He's shown he's very proficient at elevating. So Peatfield's been excellent here, just not giving him anything to work with so far this over. So he does this, and he overcooks it, and it's an outrageous stroke, really. As he decides he wants to ramp, and then he is out of options, so he turns the ramp around. Wow, it's a fantastic cricket shot. Sign of the modern day. It's just below the waist, I think. Yeah, well, check it out here. Well, that's a very inventive piece of batting. Borderline. Again, you know, the rule saying it would have to be above the waist in the standing position, so maybe that was at the waist. This cricket, that would be fine, but good result for Sahak. Cracks this one. Won't get a run. So, yeah, very interesting turn. I mean, it's the first real sign of, I'm going to call it, not more bravery, because we have seen a couple of reverses tried, but I mean, sustained kind of period of aggression from Norway so far, and it's coming from the number 7 in shirt and number 7 in batting position, Mohammad Sahak. Yeah, hits this pretty well on the charge again. Bit of work for Hooper to do here. He should get 2, but a good throw might have him in trouble here. It was really good fielding by Hooper, but because he'd run so far, he throws a little bit off balance, so not as much on it as he wanted. There will be 2 to finish the over. And at the end of 16 overs, the score is 81 for 5. Neville's enjoying the aggression. And so we're heading into the last 4 overs now. So now with the 5 wickets in hand, you've got something to play with at least. You can see that no one really going the journey. Although Stokes had that 1 over for 16, and his other 2 only went for 9. All the other bowlers under a run of ball pace, and some by some distance. Bishard was excellent in his 4 overs, took 2 for 14. I'll be interested to see who we get here. And it looks like they are going back to Hooper. Hooper's got figures of 1 for 8 of his 2 overs. And I mentioned his slower ball. That's a bit of a weapon at the end of the inning. So we'll probably see him bowling 17 and 19 here. Back foot they go. It's an inventive bit of fielding from Butler, but I can see he was thinking that he wasn't in position to get up and throw in time, so he tries to flick. He just doesn't get the power. I mentioned you could play lawn bowls on this ground. It's kind of what Butler was doing there from a lying down position. Wow, it's a bit lucky here, and I think this will run away for 4 as well. And it will, so just trying to get something going, Norway. And Hooper, well, he won't be particularly impressed with this. It's going to be another 4 runs to the total for Norway. Block hole ball, and Hooper's after it, but I think there's 2 here. They're all running after it. It was perfectly placed. I think it was more luck than design. But Sahak will hustle back for a couple. Punched away. This time they will only get 1. I will say, if you are watching on our YouTube channel, ECN European Cricket Network, great time to jump in the chat if you've got any questions or any comments. Just want to say hi. Certainly love your company. I'm really loving the weather. I'm going to say that. Punch down to long on. This will just be 1. People saying I've stolen the good weather from Romania, who struggled a bit in yesterday morning when I was leaving, actually. There was a big thunderstorm. I had a slight delay to the start of the day, and I know they lost an innings at the end of the day, but it's like today wasn't so bad. Wishing everyone a happy last couple of days there. Happy last day, actually, because the final day tomorrow. Just Hark. Takes 1 here. He moves to 34. He's been the standout in this innings, and he will retain the strike. 17 overs down. The score is 91 for 5. I kind of am staying with what I said after, I think it was 15 overs, when I said if you get 10s, you can get up in the 120s, and that's still the case. And now you've got 5 wickets to play with. I mean, the key for me, though, is the one guy that's been able to score at a decent strike rate. He's out there, and I think he needs to stay out there for as long as possible. Michael Daub saying how fast I travelled from Romania to Spain. Well, from an ECN perspective, yeah, we were in 2 places at once, which you can't often be in life. I want to say big thanks to Rico, though, and all the players and officials in Romania. And I think Tyrone, he did a good job in the last game, I heard just before I came on. And all the guests they've got have been really entertaining as well. All right, here's Stokes back for his last. And this one's in the air, and it's going, it's gone. Maximal! And Mohammad Shah Sahak is playing a lone hand here. He just throws his hands at this one, and this one is wind assisted. It's a Bizaway super strike. It was aerial. And once you get it up in the air, there is a bit of a breeze assisting it. That's one of the longer boundaries on the ground. 6 runs. And poor Stokes can't take a trick at the moment. He's saying, how come it's always me? He hasn't bowled that badly. It was just a really good shot. There's no deep cover back. There's kind of deep forward point. There's long off. Once more, can't blame him. He's on a heater, as we'd say. Hello to Wazza as well. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, just want to say thanks to our Spring Productions crew that are here. Almeria and Martins.
Yeah, it's going well.
And also got Andreas.
I'll give you a proper answer at the end of the game.
I'll have to coach the fielders in front of that microphone that they can be heard. Gone. Well, that one's huge. That one is out of here. It's over the fence and far away. Send out the search party. Maximal. 6 runs to Shesa Hart. He's been incredible so far, and that one brings up the 100 for Norway. And you thought for most of this innings it would probably never come. Oh, that is a really big hit, the biggest so far that we've seen. And almost got over a long part of the fence, but geez, that's some ball striking. I can't, for the life of me, really work out what Stokes has done wrong compared to the other bowlers. He has been the one that seems to have been the brunt of the aggression. As the 50 partnership has come up off only 28 balls. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, a lot of the neutrals, they wanted to see a bit of a counter-attack from Norway. Slow bouncer this time. You got one guy just scored 46 out of the 53 partnership. You're pretty happy to see him get to the other end. And he's enjoying the microphone on the boundary. Could be a bit of a big brother element to this series. We better be careful. All right, well now, Jez Hark's partner wants to get in on it. Salim, who is going to hustle back for a couple, and he's going to get there. Again, the boundary's a bit longer than we're accustomed to, I suppose, in the European Cricket Series. He gets a fair piece of that, but the boundary rider is so good at anticipating, aren't they? He's able to get it back in, but can't prevent two. He goes for this as well, and this one's going to disappear. Maximal! Well, Salim has watched, and now he's copied and pasted some of Shesa Hark's aggression. And now there's a certain freedom to Norway's batting that just wasn't there in the middle overs, where they were concerned about losing wickets. End of the over. And the score now is 112 for 5. 21 come off the 18th over from Matthew Stokes, the first magical over of this T20 International Series. And well, for a guy, his first 2 overs went for 6 and 4. He ends up going 1 for 46 off his 4 overs. And look, I think you see the difference there between the length that Stokes was bowling and Pete Field. When Pete Field was bowling at that end, Pete Field just wouldn't give him anything to work with. He was up in the block hole. This one's hit pretty well as well. Some work for the fielder to do. Does well. Shesa Hart will come back for a couple. Well, now suddenly, you get 10 and 10 from here. You're up above 130. Now, look at the 10 over splits it would be here. They were 38 after 10. So if they could get something like 90 or something off the second 10, that's really good going. Shesa Hart. He's swinging with wanton abandon now, isn't he? Andy saying great recovery from Norway. Definitely game on now. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Housey. Peter's impressed with the comeback as well. Hooper in his last over gets hit down the ground, and this will be 4 as well. And this will bring up his half century. Mohamed Shesa Hart, he has turned the narrative, hasn't he? And the Norwegians now, they believe that they can win this first game. And he brings up his 50 off 23 balls, 4 fours and 4 Maximos in there. Very, very good innings from a talented player. And if you ask me, the fact that so many of these players have that T10 international experience and T10 experience, even at the ECL level, they are comfortable taking these kinds of risks and actually enjoy it, I think. And Shesa Hart has said, well, look, everyone else has prodded around for a while and gotten out. At least I'm going to have a crack, and he sure has batted well. Hooper needs to get it up in the block hole, I think. Instead, he goes slow ball. Does get it full. So it's probably smart to Shesa Hart, who's enjoyed the pace on the ball so far. Another good style ball from Hooper. Identified this earlier. We saw it a lot during the ECL when he was playing for Guernsey champion club Griffins. It's a real character as well. Miss hit. Don't think there's two here. Scherzer Haak wants it. Should be an easy run out, and it will be. So I think that's about trying to get Scherzer Haak on strike for the last over. Salim falls on his sword. It's pretty unselfish as well from a player who struggled a bit early on in his innings to get going, but he kind of drew some inspiration from Scherzer Haak. He's actually the reason that he has to go, because Scherzer Haak was saying, well, I'm getting back because this is the end of the over. He'll be hoping to put on a show. But the show's over, unfortunately, for Ali Sufyan Salim. The score now at the end of 19 overs is 120 for 6. So just 8 off that over. And that's coming on the back of an over that went for 21 from Matt Stokes. The Hooper's over before went for 10. So we're going into the last 120 plus this. I mean, now it's competitive. I think at the European level, 120 plus is competitive in most situations, because you do often see teams being a little bit conservative and keeping wickets in hand, and you often see kind of run a ball pace or less for the first few overs as they're just setting the table. Pete Field bowled the first, he'll bowl the last. He's bowled pretty well so far. His over's gone for 4, 3 and 7, just hit for the one boundary. Here he is in over number 20. In the air, and that's a great bit of placement. So Haak, well, he wanted to strike and certainly made the most of it. It's just an easy kind of free swing of the bat here from Mohammad Scherzer Haak. With that, he moves to 58 and 4 runs to start the last over. Oh, I know there's a lot of cricket happening in the world, a lot of cricket happening on ECN, but I appreciate everyone that's here right now enjoying this T20 International from Desert Springs in Spain. Big thank you to everyone in the chat. And yeah, Joey Marple saying, what an innings from Sahak. He's dragged Norway up by the scruff of the neck. Yeah, well said, Joey. And he seemed to have done it pretty much straight away from the moment he walked out to the middle. Hooper's gone for 26. Now here's Pete Field. He's got to get it up in the block hole, and he does well to do that. Yeah, I suppose you take that single. I'd be having some thoughts about it. The other thing, I suppose, you got Wahidullah Sahak. You want to get some batting into him as well. That'll allay the nerves a bit. No matter what, if you're an experienced cricketer or not at this level, there's always got to be a few nerves, I think, out there. Because it's been a while since most of these guys have played in international cricket. Some haven't played any at all. Wahidullah Sahak on strike for the first time. Get something on this, and should just take the one here. They're smart. Not a bad shot at all. Yeah, I mean, not taking runs or taking runs at this stage certainly warrants some thought. Sahak's the kind of, well, Mohammad Scherzer Haak, he's the kind of guy that can absolutely clear the pickets. He's just getting a little bit of attention here. I'm not sure if there's a slight issue. Gives me a chance to address a few things in the chat to Wazza. He said, yeah, he certainly did kick into another gear right when he called it. Well, maybe it was you, Wazza, that inspired him. And Peter Handley thinks was just lucky. Frankie Spiteri asking, is this a treat for me commentating a T20? Well, I think all cricket I do is a treat, Frankie. And I'm certainly wishing you guys the best in the Valletta Cup, which is actually only a couple of weeks away, isn't it? Or even less. And, I know we'll be sending somebody on behalf of the ECN to assist with the commentary, and should be able to announce who that is over the weekend. Well, he gets down the ground and he launches this one out of the ground. Maximal! Well, whatever the medic gave him, give me some of that as well, because he's just moseyed down the pitch. Well, uncharacteristically, really, from Pete Field. He doesn't get it right. You'd have to say it's It's not really anything. It's a slot delivery. Still a very good shot. Very, very good shot. He's got to love a lower order turnaround. Now it gets funky, and there's no one back here. And I think this will run away for 4 as well. And it will. So, all the party tricks are coming out now. Mohamed Sahak, with that, he moves to 69 off only 28 balls. He's striking it. I think that's 2.5 a ball plus. What an excellent innings. I mean, it's a lone hand, really, you'd have to say. So 136. Wow, I mean, fantastic batting. And now, here's the last ball of the first half of game 1. We'll go for 2 here, no matter what. Hooper, well, getting it run out here. That's a shame, but he will get 1. And he grabs the red inco while he's there. He'll finish on 70 off 29 balls. Good fielding by Hooper. He just hits that too well to get 2. So about here when the throw's coming in, he just decides to pump the brakes and says, well, I've been out here a while and I didn't get out. I'm going to stay that way. Anyway, you can't really criticise a man who scores 70 off 29 balls to turn his team around. Scores over half the runs from the number 7 position. And Norway are going to finish 137 for 7 off their 20 overs. Well, I mentioned something like 130, 140 as a pass score. Well, they do get there in the end, but not the traditional way. They score just 38 in the first half. They score 99 in the second half. So 3.8 run rate in the first half of the innings, 9.9 in the second. And really, you can mark Sahak coming to the crease at the end of the 13th over as the moment that this game changed. Started with a boundary and never looked back, did he? There's a sparkling array of shots, but before then, there was trouble at the old mill for Norway as they lost a bunch of wickets early. This was a nice bit of wicket keeping from Damarel and to account for the win there. And that was Stokes who got the wicket, but his afternoon was going to take a bit of a tumble after that. You see, that's Harry, normally a pretty good player to watch, and that was a boundary in the second. It'd be a while before they'd see one again. Raza Iqbal just playing that one nicely away. Bishard, well, he's a good young player. And so Raza just tries to play across this. He tries to go to the side, to the left of screen. And the wind is assisting. And he had to go. Now, one thing I did like about Guernsey, particularly in the first half, first 3 quarters of the innings, was their fielding. They never really let up. They were showing they were able to hit the stumps regularly. They were putting pressure on Norway, who just couldn't breathe, could they? And then this is the result. See, a bit of pressure, looking for a run that wasn't there. That resulted in the run out of Ali Tafsir. Butler got rid of it pretty quickly. And this is the kind of pressure I'm talking about. Hooper putting his body on the line. We saw spin coming in with Dek Martel. His leg spin. And a couple of nice reverses played off him, but for the most part he bowled pretty well. Took a wicket with a real half-tracker early. This one was pretty tight. I think the umpire was getting tackled by one of the fielders. That doesn't make it particularly easy to make a decision. And you can see Guernsey, I think, was given 4 in the end. Probably a correct call if I'm looking at that one more time. But then Mohamed Sahak, he came to the crease and he changed the game. And he changed the game pretty quickly. He just had this no fear approach. He came to the crease with a score at 50 for 5 with just about 7 overs to play with. He almost single-handedly turns everything around as they take 87 off the 7.1 overs. Now he's there, and you can see he was really enjoyed these kind of length deliveries, and he was able to crack the ball to all parts, showed a lot of power. This was late on where they kind of made a strategic decision to get Mohamed Sahak on strike, and he certainly made the most of it with 17 coming off the last over. And well, we just saw that run out off the last ball. 137 for 7. 138. It's always a bit frustrating as a fielding side, I think, when you have a team on the ropes and you let them get away. They certainly snuck out the back door there. There was nothing sneaky about what we saw from Sahak as he put on a show. 70 off 29 with 6 fours and 5 sixes. Apart from that, you saw 25 from Ali Salim was important. The other players to reach double figures. Bilal Safta with 15, Gari with 10. And, I think Guernsey, they would have thought they'd be chasing something double digits. It looked for sure, but now they find themselves chasing 138. Very achievable. They have a lot of good batting there, but they will know they weren't planning on chasing this many. 6 bowlers used in the first innings of the tournament as well. Bishart, for me, he was best of the bowlers. 2 for 14 of his 4. And yeah, he impressed me. Good young player I saw at the ECL just a couple of months ago. Also wickets for Dec Martel, who bowled a really good couple of overs for 8. And Stokes, the other wicket taker, although he did get taken to the cleaners a bit in his last 2 overs. And he wore the brunt of the Sahak attack. So we are going to take a bit of a break. We'll be back in around about 10 minutes or so with the second half of this T20 International. It's great to have ECI cricket in 2022. European Cricket International T20 Tri-Series. Hope you're enjoying it so far. I think we have a cracking finish. The only game of day 1. And it's game on. Norway 137 on the board. When we return, it'll be Guernsey. Well, if they're going to keep the wood on the Norwegians, they need 138 off their 20 overs. Vinny Sandu here, Mr. Maximo, for the European Cricket Network. We'll see you shortly for more cricket. You're watching the ECI Spain Tri-Series. Hello and welcome back to Desert Springs in Spain. We're in Almeria, a beautiful part of the country, the isolated part of the country, if I'm honest. And, well, really looking forward to this weekend. It actually starts right here. This is the first of 6 T20 Internationals. We are showing you ECI cricket, European Cricket, International Cricket, right here on the European Cricket Network. Vinny Sandhu with you, Mr. Maximo, the European Cricket Network this afternoon as we bring you this tournament opener. The two sides that have travelled to be here are Norway and Guernsey, and they're locked in a battle right now, aren't they? After we saw Norway recover from a pretty dire situation, you'd say, as they were able to put on a score of 137. That was after a pretty terrible start. It was Mohamed Sahak with a crunching 70 that got them out of trouble. And to what I think is pretty much a pass score. I mean, it's really hard to say, isn't it, this early in the piece. And I do think they would fancy themselves to chase these down. It's funny, momentum's it's one of the intangibles, isn't it? The fact that Guernsey, they wouldn't have expected to chase this many, but you know, if you offered them 137 at the start, they'd probably say, okay, we'd like to chase less, but we're pretty comfortable chasing it. So we want close matches, don't we? We want good contests. And I think we're going to get one here. So an invitation as well that you can join us in the live chat. ECN European Cricket Network. Now, we're about to get going, and this looks to me like Vinay Ravi. Okay, we saw a bit of on the ECN before. Playing in the ECC, I believe. He's a tall, fast bowler. He's going to start up. It's going to be Isaac Damerol, who will be opening up, the keeper batter. He's out there with Matthew Stokes. 138 to win for Guernsey in the opener. Chipped away and, well, accidentally fielded by that fielder who, well, you can't criticise him too much. That's Mohamed Sahak. He's the reason that Norway are more or less in a competitive position in this match. They come in at 50 for 5, looking down the barrel with 7 overs remaining. He ended up blasting him to 137. Good delivery. Really good delivery, this one from Ravi. See, I think that just goes away a little bit off the seam. There's a little bit in this for the pace bowlers, probably not a lot. There's a bit of grass covering. I said it was a fairly stock standard cricket wicket. I think it's not too fast, not too slow. That's just right. It's fairly even-tempered, this pitch. This time, they are going to take one to Sahak. Just had to move a bit to his left. So that's the first run of the reply. I'll be interested to see what Guernsey's approach is to this. They've got the 6-over power play. Do they try and get ahead in the game? Do they kind of take risks early, or they hope to kind of just cruise at the rate? 7 and over required, essentially, throughout this second half. So this is one of the things I suppose I'm getting used to a little bit. There's a bit more time for the players to use to get in position. They're bringing in a kind of floating slip now, I suppose is what you call that. As we're going to see the right-handed Stokes on strike for the first time. I wonder if this takes a little something. This one must have just flicked the pad, because there was certainly an instantaneous kind of bit of interest. Yeah, you see that one not held, but I think it would have been out at any rate. Stokes, who had an interesting adventure with the ball, did take a wicket fairly early on. His last 2 overs were hideously expensive. Ravi on target. You can see here that players at this level, especially the players trusted to open up, just tend to have a bit better control than we'll see probably at the club level. No surprises about that. Worked away. Well, they're going to get back for two, but it was a pretty dicey one. You see, they made a pretty early decision, I think, that they wanted to go. They felt an on-striker was the more susceptible to the run out, but they do get there safely. A bit of urgency about this start, as far as the running goes at least, but not too much on the scoreboard. After one over, it's 3 for no loss. Pretty good over, that one from Vinay Ravi. So, second over coming up, of course. I mean, it sounds obvious to me, but if you only really watch ECN cricket and T10 cricket, you'll notice that both ends are being used. This is a T20 International cricket, so it's played under the ICC regulations. And I think Norway, they know the importance of early wickets here. They want to kind of do what was done to them, but if they do that, they don't want Guernsey to get out of the trap. Shazza was on the counter-attack. So it's Andrew Elliott there, who is umpiring at that far end. And, yeah, once again, big thank you to all our officials in this game. We have Andrew Elliott out there, Gordon Ashford. He's at square leg this over. Third umpire Darren Clark. Second over coming up. And it's going to be Damarel on strike. Start, as we see, Abdullah Shinwari. Goes pretty full. You hear that? Keep the ball shiny here. A lot of noise, and that's what you'd expect. You know, at such a high level of cricket, but also early on. I think the start is so important. A slight breeze right to left as you look at your screen there. Shinwari, left-hander. It's a pretty good breeze for a left-hander, I think. Hasn't really shaped one yet, but I think that's what we'll be hoping to do. Left-hander to left-hander, Damarel. I thought kept pretty well. Put down a real tough one. See, number 22 down the bottom, that's Kaiser Ahmed. He's the captain for Norway in this series. A bit short and gone. So an early wicket. It's a little bit short, wasn't it? Damarel, well, he tried to go across the line, as you'd expect, a ball of that length, but he just wrapped his bat around it, couldn't find the middle of it. The catch was taken, an early strike for the Norwegians. Wow, since the 14 over mark, it's been all them, hasn't it? Disappointment for Damarel. Shinwari, well, he is absolutely stoked, but he leaves Stokes there at the crease. The first wicket of the reply. Score is 3 for 1. So, pretty good catch. I think that's Gari that takes it. A long way away from me, but he had to come forward a long way. Yeah, it was Walid Gari. He gets Isaac Damarel for just the single. And it's so funny. Momentum is something that's hard to describe. You kind of know it when you see it. And Norway, they thought they were going to have to come out defending something like 80 if they were that lucky. The fact that they've got 137 on the board gives them a lot of confidence. They feel like they're kind of on a free roll. What a good start it would be if they could defend this total. They are the lowest ranked team out of the three here this week, although not by much. We know how tightly clustered these three sides are in Desert Springs. The captain, Josh Butler, comes out at number 3. Wider drives. That's not a bad shot first up. Going away from his body, could let that one go. That shows he wants to find bat on ball. Here's T20 cricket. I mean, for someone like me that's done like 1,300 T10 games, it seems slow. But I mean, a lot of these players do come from a kind of 40 or 50 over background as well. So having to kind of dial their game up rather than down. Captain pushes, gets off the mark. Just a single. Shamari bowling with some good rhythm here. One thing he hasn't really got is the kind of sideways movement in the air so far. You can hear a lot of encouragement, as you can imagine. Just look at that rate required. Started at more or less 7 on the dot, 6.9. Just been creeping a little bit after this good start. Last ball of the over for Shinwari. Oh, he's dropped. That was timed so well by Stokes. It goes shin high to Sahak, who can't hold on. Wow, frustration for the fielder. He just seemed to be on the move. Probably didn't have to be. But, I mean, I suppose you are walking in that position. You can't really criticise a guy. It's just kind of worked you back into the game. But what it is a missed opportunity. Stokes is dropped on 2. That's 2 overs down. It's 4 for 1. What I would say is he absolutely smashed that. It might not have looked like it because it wasn't a big swing, but it was a very good piece of timing. See there, the 3 sides involved. Of course, none of them have points yet. We have these 2 taking part in this game. Spain we'll see tomorrow in the 1st and 3rd match. Basically, each team will play 4 matches. They'll play each of the opponents twice, and the winner of the series will be who's ever on top of the table after match 6. Neville Russ asking, when are we going to have T10 international games? Well, I can tell you for sure you'll see T10 international games in September and October at the European Cricket Championship. And apart from that, we are trying to organise a few outside of that. I can't tell you too much more about that at the moment, but it is in the works. Here's Vinay Ravi in over number 3. Pushed away. And yeah, once again, running the first one hard. I like to see that. Josh Butler picked up his 2nd single. Shinwari, who saw on the 2nd over, he's having a break on the boundary, but no way you really do have a break in this form of the game. Worked away, leg side. It's a funny kind of a start. I think I mentioned in the first half of this game that that's probably because it's fairly early in the northern season. It's not really early in our ECM season, but in the kind of more established cricket scene. And sometimes the batters are a bit rusty, and they don't get the kind of opportunities that bowlers get and fielders get to atone for errors. So I think that can result in slightly lower scores early in the piece. Doesn't really know too much about this one. Skews away off the inside bit of the bat. So the longer this start goes, the better Norway are going to feel. It's pretty much what was done to them. They only scored 1 boundary in the first 9.5 overs of their innings. So it shows you that there wasn't a lot happening. It put them under immense pressure, and it took Mohammad Sahak to lift them out of it and did that in spectacular fashion. Just dots with a few singles and 1-2 so far. This isn't a good ball, and it's going to be worked away, and it will go to the boundary. So Stokes gets surprised by this one. It wakes him up. It must be just below the waist. See, Ravi's been good so far. That's one that probably is just below the waist, but certainly interested the umpire. We'll see it here. Certainly if it was called, you wouldn't criticise the call. Could have gone either way, but what it is a boundary. Got to say hello to Mohammed Bitlob in the chat. He said he missed me in Romania. Well, I didn't miss Romania, though, because I was watching it. I watched a fair bit of it today, except for the very last innings where I was doing what I'm doing here. I think it is a no ball, so I think it has been called. I don't mind that either. I said it could have quite easily been called a no ball. So it is no ball, +4, and a free hit coming up. Misses out, essentially. Really getting punished, just the 1 run. Michael Daub saying comparably huge ground, double as many overs. saying the T10 petted audience needs some readjustment to T20. That's a bit of an adjustment for me as well, but I'd say I'm a cricket lover. I mean, obviously, something unique and special about what we do, the European cricket T10 matches, but also I'm a lover of kind of all the aspects of what's required to be successful as a cricketer. I'd say concentration was one of my strong suits when I was playing, as you can imagine. Pushes, no run. It's one thing that both teams have done pretty well with that cover position. It's Butler himself, actually, that was in there for a fair bit of the Guernsey fielding innings, just preventing any chance of that quick single. Andy House saying great pictures from Spring Productions once again. Well, they are such professionals, I'm going to say. It's always a bit complicated with a new venue such as this, and obviously a few things a bit different. So a big thank you to Andreas and to Martins and Elvira, who's directing for us. Pushes and gets one here. So that'll be the end of 3 overs. Ravi, the one that got away there, but apart from that, no real damage. The over goes for 9. The score is 13 for 1 after 3. So I don't think it's as important as T10 to stay on the rate from the very start, but I do think you don't want it to get out of hand. So yeah, I don't think they really want it getting above 9 or so. I think they'll be fairly comfortable chasing that in the last 5 or 6 overs. But it's also important that you don't leave yourself too much to do at the back end, where you potentially have new batters coming in. So any other questions you have, put them in the chat. I'll do as well as I can. If I don't have the answer, what I will do is try and find out over the weekend. Shinwari back, left-hander. He stopped initially by Gowrie in there, but knocks it away from his teammate. That will be a single. Stokes would like to go big here. I mean, they really took his shirt and everything in his 3rd and 4th overs that he bowled in the first innings. After he got an early strike, he went for 6 when he bowled the 2nd, or for 4 when he bowled the 7th. And his other 2 overs going for 16 and 21. He was in the crosshairs of Mohammad Sahar. Now has the chance to let his bat do the talking. This is Butler facing. Plays and misses. Just going across the skipper. No slip in place or anything like that. Still obviously the keeper's a risk. A little edge on it. Hello to Anil Pokhrel, who's watching from Nepal. Any guesses who's going to win? Well, what I love about this game is I can't tell you. I think it's right in the balance at the moment. Oh, this one, don't think it carries. It's hit pretty hard. I think it's just short of the bowler. So big gap down the ground if can beat the bowler. Just short of him. Nice effort by Shinwari. Steve Cook saying, looks like one of those grounds where a county side might go. Well, I know that's a fairly sought after facility. It's a very high standard, we'll say that much. Weather is amazing. Butler pushes, wants to run. Some things aren't different to the regular T10s we do. And one thing is the importance of communication between the batters. And you see there, even with the field in fairly tight, when both batters go straight away and they have that understanding, you can pick up the single most of the time. That was good, confident calling and good, confident run from Guernsey. Just trying to put something together. Good pace from Shinwari. Going full, I think, especially with the new ball. I know he took his wicket with a short ball, but I think that's a fairly good length. Asking questions of the batter. Neither team has been able to have a good power play with the bat, have they, in this game? This time there's a bit of length on this, and Ravi will come around and take it on. They're going to double clutch from the keeper. If he'd thrown the first time, maybe he's half a chance there, Kazar Ahmed. But yeah, couldn't really decide if he wanted to throw or not. I think a good throw here has Stokes in trouble as he's coming back to the striker's end. You see it was a long throw, and I think in the end, fairly safe too, all things considered. As we get to the end of the fourth over, the score is 17 for 1. Once again, just have a look at that. No run rate required. 7.56. So again, nothing to worry about. I think one thing that's probably more important than in the T10 format is partnerships and set batters. I think that it can be important T10 to an extent, but I think here he's saying you don't actually mind these guys taking a bit of time getting set, even if they're not quite going run a ball pace. A few people enjoying Josh Butler. It's, we have another Josh Butler. Well, not quite a Josh Butler, but he's a Josh Butler. We also have a Stokes in the side. We also have a Hooper in the side. I was a big fan of Carl Hooper growing up when I first started watching cricket. Chatterdan Gurung's enjoying Butler's work. Got to say, he's a really nice guy as well. It's been great to meet some new guys. Some I've known from our travels. Some I have meeting for the first time. As we've got Wahidullah Sahar coming on. Wow, this one's really close. So, decide to go here, but I think, well, if this hits, very tight. Would have been a tough call for the umpire. Wahidullah. Just right on the money. And to be honest, most, if not all, of the bowlers have been really good from the get-go at finding their range pretty quickly. We haven't seen a bunch of wides. That's something else I've noticed. Pushes, and well, having a crack. I had a question that I get all the time, should you throw or not? And normally it's after there's a 4 overthrows from a situation like that. What I would say is it depends. That's normally my answer. But what I would also say is at a higher level of cricket, you're more confident throwing. And that's kind of the way teams practice. You know, they practice throwing it hard, creating opportunities and backing your teammates to be able to handle the backup. Driven away, hit firmly to the man at point. No run. So this game very, very much in the balance at the moment. Maybe a bit about it, but I think this leg by given. Just picked up by Ali Sufyan Salim. It's a very fascinating grouping contest. I mean, this is something that in European cricket sometimes we have some mismatches. And this doesn't seem like one of them at the moment. Again, just sliding the pad. He's just been a bit leg stumpy. He's getting away with it. It's some food for thought for him as we'll get to the end of the over. 5 overs down and a quarter of the innings is over. The score is 21 for 1. So once again, a very warm welcome to all of our viewers watching on Fancode in India, and also might be watching on our YouTube channel, ECN European Cricket Network. Great to have your company. You can see from, that's the Manhattan there, it was only little buildings. And then, I don't know, someone put up the scaffolding, and we had some tall towers in the last 6 overs. And I think I mentioned, didn't I, what sort of acceleration that was. I mean, they scored 58 off the first 14 overs, and then 79 off the last 6. So, I mean, what's that? It went from something like 4 and over to 13 and over. It was no coincidence that coincided with the arrival of Mohammad Shah Sahak. Stokes pushes and he'll get one here. It's almost now, I think, as we get into what I would call the middle overs, this is the last over of the power play. It's where you feel like one batter maybe has to take a bit of responsibility to try and take a few more risks. Because you don't necessarily want to drift at, well, they're 4 and over at the moment or so. You don't want to drift at that for too long. You do have the batting resources still to come. Does look pretty good while he's been out there, but he could be in trouble. Oh, they go the other end. I would have thought Butler, he looked like he was on the treadmill for a second there. Makes up his mind pretty much straight away he wants to go. Throw wasn't at his end, fortunately. We'll never know. Shinwari into his third over. Low full toss. I think of 2 here. It's just mishandled by the fielder. That's good running, and that's the kind of awareness I'm talking about at this level. And both batters, they run the first one hard, and then they do get the opportunity to get through for a second run. Again, it's the kind of game you feel that every run might be important if it comes down to it. Short and pulled. Will be Safdar out there that does the fielding. And one thing that's kind of striking me, if you want to talk about differences to what I do day in, day out, is obviously the boundaries being around about probably 10 to 15 metres more. It's just a bit more protectable. So, you know, you can kind of have that plan. Even the fielder there is probably 10 off the boundary as it is. A deep backward square, kind of set him up with a short ball, knowing if you don't quite get in the middle, he could be in trouble. Pretty well bowled again. Chiwari's impressed me here. I wonder if they bowl him out. I think he's done so well. I'd be tempted to. You still have some other resources you can use down the stretch. I think while he's doing well, the longer you keep these 2 quiet, kind of delay that kind of what you feel is the inevitable gear shift, the better. Norway. Way off the stumps. May think of 2 here. Once again, you see very, very good fielding. Just to pounce on that, it's Vino Ravi. He gets the throw in. Quick throw, sometimes is better than a good throw. As he does keep it to 1, and it's the end of the 6th over. The score is 27 for 1. That is the end of the 6 over power play. We're going to do the comparisons. Oh, Guernsey here, they're 27 for 1 after 6. Norway were 20 for 2. So they were in a slightly worse position, 7 runs less and losing a second wicket. So it really was a game of 2 halves. Not really halves, because the first phase, I suppose, was first 14 overs. That's the last 6. Almost like the real power didn't come in the power play in the first 6 of the innings. It was the reverse power play. The power came in the last 6 for Norway. Have 7th over beginning now. Of course, up to 5 outfielders can be employed now. Wahidullah Sahak is going to continue. Good start. Hustle here, but I think they'll only get 1. Not the greatest throw coming in, but blocked by the keeper. Say hello to James again, who's watching from Estonia. Just noticed the exponential curve. A lot of chat as well about the innings of Rasheed Sahak still, as you can imagine. Here, in the effects might the winds. It's pretty strong here at the moment. That one gets taken by the wind. which is right to left on your screen. I wouldn't say it's necessarily behind any particular end. It just is very, very strong right to left. You can see the shape of that delivery kind of illustrating that at a perfect time. James Stewart saying maybe the next time we see Mohamed Sahak, it might not be at 7, or maybe not. I would think with that kind of form, you'd want to get him a bit higher. Well, this one is turned away, but he might have found trouble. The fielder takes it. And so Stokes, he gets to 15, but he goes no further. I think the issue here, he tries to hit this straight into the wind. It's flicked away. The catch is taken. And yeah, disappointment for the opener. See here, it's kind of an instinctive shot, I think, when you play this, but he was concerned straight away, wasn't he? And Stokes is going to have to go. He's the second wicket to fall. It's 29 for 2. It's always frustrating when you've taken the time. You felt he was getting in. He played some nice strokes. Just the one boundary. Just one boundary in the innings, actually, off his bat. But yeah, he does fall. And so ecstatic result for Wahidullah Sahak, who gets reward for his efforts. I say hello to Oktay Galami, who's in the chat as well. Hello, Oktay. Hope you're well. There's a nice catch taken out there. It's Abdullah Sheikh who takes the catch. Yeah, he had plenty of time to think about that. That for me, I mean, if you hit that on the other side of the ground, if you hit that exact same shot on the other side of the, from the other end, essentially, I think that's 6. But it's also a difficult shot to control because normally you just kind of play it on instinct. It's straight and you kind of flick across it. You've got to be a bit unlucky to hit it straight down the fielder's throat, but that's exactly what Stokes did. Ollie Nightingale is the new player. We won't see him at the striker's end. And we may not ever see him at the striker's end because he's almost run out first ball. Yeah, you see, because, of course, we still have the old school rules in place. I mean, he did everything right there. Probably gets home, I think. Let's see here. Yeah, probably not the greatest bat slide, but I think certainly a concerning start for Ollie Nightingale. Of course, we saw Tom Nightingale with the ball. Seeing Ollie now in the number 4 position. I mean, Kumar's got a really interesting point, he says. So it doesn't really matter about what number Sherzad comes in. He should probably come in after 10 overs. That's certainly something we talked about, you know, when I started playing T20 cricket, probably in the mid-2000s, when I first started coming in, maybe towards the late 2000s even. We talked a lot about when you want someone to come in, not necessarily a batting position. And I think that's smart. You need to be flexible, you need to be adaptable. I think certain players like batting at a certain point in the innings. So that's a pretty good shout, I think, from you, Amit. Michael Daub with a pun as well. Will Guernsey win? No way, says Norway. Clever, Michael. Obviously, it's been a long day for you. Slow ball. Caught it wide. He's thrilled with the call. This is the old grunt slower ball. Shows you, even at the international level. Gets done. That was clearly outside the line. That was the off-cutting kind of slower ball. Pulls his hands down the side of the ball. Back a bit straighter this time. Worked away just a single. Yes, I mean, you look at Stokes, he was out for 15 off 18 with the one boundary, and now you've got Butler, who's faced about the same amount of balls. It's a tough spot because, I mean, he'll obviously want to raise the rate a little bit, but he also knows he doesn't want to get out. So how do you reconcile those two things? I think he, you know, I'd say be selective, but be aggressive when you get your opportunity. I think Norway have just bowled pretty well so far. Last ball of the 7th coming up. Now, have a ping here. They do get home. And so, it's the end of the over, 33 for 2. I know that a lot of people have been following the action in Romania. I know, because I'm one of them. And tomorrow, we will have finals day, and we can now tell you how that will look. United finished in third, although they had a decent afternoon. They finished in third. They'll play Cluj, who finished in fourth. Last year's champions, having some struggles. Missing a couple of key players, so they'll have to win 3 in a row, either of United or Cluj, if they're going to raise the trophy. Baniasa and Bucharest Gladiators, well, both of them, I'd say surprise packets. Those two, if you want to know what's funny, they finished in the bottom 2 positions last time in Romania. They finished first and second this time. They'll play off in qualifier 1, Baniasa and Bucharest Gladiators. And of course, we'll have the second qualifier, which is the winner of 3 and 4 versus the loser of 1 and 2, and then the final. All starts tomorrow, 6 a.m. GMT, which is 8 o'clock in Central Europe, and 11:30 in India. I do encourage you to watch that. Rico Fool's over there with the blue crew. And, yeah, I think it'll be a really interesting finals day. And an hour later, we'll start here with 3 T20 Internationals. So it's a long day of cricket tomorrow on ECN with 7 matches across 2 formats. I think it'll be something like 12 hours of cricket from 8 to 8 Central European time. But if you add it all up, I don't even know how much that is. Anyway, let's go. 8th over. Oh, chipped up. Oh, fielder was interested there. The new bowler here is Raza Iqbal, former skipper of the side. With his left arm orthodox. Yeah, so how much cricket is that? Okay, we've got 4 T10s. Well, that's 8 hours of cricket. You've got 3 T20s. So 4 hours each. So yeah, about 20 hours of cricket in a day. If you add it all up, put it end to end, not so bad. Michael, he thinks I could be in 2 places at once, but not quite able to do that just yet. Ooh, close. And out. Yeah, this one was sliding in. I don't know if Ollie Nightingale plays for a bit of turn here. But my instinct is he was in big trouble. As the change in pace does the trick, Raza Iqbal. And, well, disappointment for the batter. But you can see there, I mean, obviously it's not the best look here, but seemed like it hit him in line. Don't get a great look at the bounce, but sometimes you just have an instinct. There's a slight step forward, and everyone conspiring to block all the key views there, but I think you can certainly understand what Andrew Elliott's thinking as he puts up the finger. And a 3rd wicket now for Guernsey, 34 for 3 in the 8th over. It's certainly shades of the first innings of this game, aren't there, in this start from Guernsey in reply. No double figure overs yet. The best over's 9. That was in the 3rd over that contained a no ball height that went for 4. So new player out there is Ollie Newey. He'll be facing up Raza Iqbal. We'll be pretty happy with that. I mean, I think he made the classic mistake. Ollie Nightingale there playing for some turn. Newey off the mark immediately. Again, we'll just keep an eye on this run rate required. It talks about them maybe probably not wanting to get above 9 anytime soon. At the moment, it's crept up to about 8.2. I'm appreciating this discussions in the chat. We've seen an attempted sweep shot. This one I don't think is going to get Andrew Elliott that interested. See the line of this one. Seemed to be angling down the leg side. I don't think he's not a big spinner of the ball. Iqbal. He wants to sweep this, but then ends up yorking himself. Butler. Now they're going to come for 2. Wow, interesting option. At the underarm there, Mohamed Shersahar. He's got a few shoulder issues or something, but I thought, you know, a good throw might have found Butler struggling. Now I feel like it's even more important that the captain stays there. But he can't just stay there, he needs to produce. He's striking at 65 currently. A lot of people liking the work of Amadullah Shinwari, who obviously hasn't bowled his 4th over. So look, I could see both ways there. I'd be tempted to bowl him a 4th, but I suppose it's in the back of your mind now that you you've got him in your back pocket if you need him. So yeah, obviously the turn to spin had immediate effect as well. The wicket of Ollie Nightingale. Butler goes back and punches to the sweeper. Just be a single. Backed up. Little things getting done well. Into the 8th over here. The score is 38 for 3. So exactly 100 runs required off the last 12 overs. You can see that run rate I've been referring to a few times, run rate required. Look at the bowling figures. You can see Shinwari, a lot of buzz about him. You can see why. He's 1 for 11 off his 3 overs. Sahak with a wicket. Raza Iqbal with a wicket in his first over. None of the bowlers going run a ball or more. So it's been a good team effort. Even Ravi that went for the most expensive over of the innings. He still was under a run of ball. 9 runs came off his second over, which included a leg bye, but still came off his over. So now I think they've decided that spin's worked at one end. We'll try it at the other, and we're going to get Abdullah Sheikh bowling. He took a very good catch on the boundary a little bit earlier on to remove Matt Stokes. So, well, everyone's asking me what do I think about watching the longer format on ECN. Well, what do you think about watching it? Do you want to see more T20 international cricket? It's always good when we can do it. I mean, it's not always possible. Obviously, you stretch our resources so far. Does mean I've had to abandon Rico for 3 days, but yeah, give us your thoughts. Our regulars in the chat, even if you're not a regular. Good start by Sheikh. His leg spin. It's interesting they've chosen to bowl from this end because often leg spinners like to bowl with the breeze going left to right, so it kind of can drift in, but I mean, the wind's pretty heavy right to left. I suppose you've got the other issue of Raza Iqbal, who spins the ball essentially the same way, spins it from leg to off to a right-hander, so I suppose you can't both bowl them at the same end. There's Sahak. There's a bit of the Pavel Florence style fielding about that. Getting down and dirty. One's punch, gets through one fielder. Just allow a single though. That's Ali Salim. Who's at point? Just couldn't handle the bounce there. Haven't seen too many in this field, so you wouldn't expect too many on this field. Yeah, it's been a pretty good start. I mean, the wrist spinner, it's always a little bit of a risk in any form of the game. Sometimes they can have control issues, but good so far. This is another good one. Can't get it anywhere. Pretty alert. Keeping that Kaiser Ahmed. He's taken over the reins for Norway. So behind the stumps. I always wondered about keeping and captaining. Certainly something I couldn't do. And I am a bit of a multitasker. Maybe I was just too young. But yeah, I found it. I was finicky about my keepings. I just didn't like captaining. Vice captaining is a bit different. You can chip in and have none of the accountability. But you know, I found it affected my keeping negatively. But a few people have bucked the trend recently in world cricket and done it pretty well. This one's dug out. That's a good length from Sheikh. What a good over from him. Just 3 singles off it. The malaise continues for Guernsey. As we get to the end of the 9th over, the score is 41 for 3. Julian Dawson saying, yeah, he'd like to have a bit more European T20 on ECN. Bring it on. Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, a few people asking if we can have more international cricket. Like I say, it's something that we are working towards. I mean, we've come a long way in such a short period of time. When you consider that we only started showing cricket, let's say full-time, if you want to call it that, in June 2020. So that's not even 2 years. Think about the volume of matches we've had, and the variety of locations we've been to. I think it's a big effort from everyone involved. And I certainly love working with a really passionate group of people. Butler moves to 17. Yeah, Luke mentioning as well, and I can mention on here that we are streaming the Butler Cup, which is a 6-nation T20 event. It doesn't get much bigger than that, to be honest, in European T20 cricket as far as the amount of teams in a tournament. Newey, more comfortable as he goes. Gonna get one here though. Good arm from the boundary. Oh, now, there's my first overthrow. We haven't seen one yet. I think this, I said good arm, but what happened was just the wind takes it, and it takes it further and further and further away from Kaiser Ahmed. If you missed this, then they probably don't get another run, but because he gets half a glove on it, knocks it away from the backup fielder. And good alert running from Guernsey. Back to live action. Keeps a little bit low. Dug out for a once. One for Newey. See this next one. Iqbal plays that pretty well. I feel like he did have to make an adjustment there, Newey. And now he's gone. So Butler, oh, he'll be so disappointed about that. That was the Sophie's choice situation he had. He wanted to raise the rate, but he didn't want to get out. Unfortunately, he loses his off stump. Raza Iqbal has the second wicket, and he's removed 2 in the 2 overs that he's bowled. You see, Butler just trying to move things along, and he's targeting that boundary, which is wind assisted, but he can't get any bat on this. And over goes the off stump, tilted back. Raza Iqbal, he is thrilled with that. As the score now is 45 for 4. And look, I have to say it, it's a very similar innings that we saw in the first half. I mean, I know at one stage in the 12th over, it was Norway that were 45 for 4. I suppose one thing you could say that's it to Guernsey's benefit is they're 2.5 overs ahead of that. But what they do need is someone to step up and play big innings. Outside of Mohammad Shah in this game, no one has looked particularly comfortable playing attacking cricket. Afaq Khan, hello to you. He's mentioning that, might be worth mentioning that Norway does not normally play on natural wickets. That's true. That's true. I mean, it's very hard in that part of the world to prepare them. Need a lot of resources. Some do have experience, I know that, but it's a bit of an adjustment. I think the players really enjoy the opportunity, though, to play on turf wickets, of course, in international cricket. But it is also good, I think, that now you do have international cricket on all kinds of surfaces, and I think that's really important in spreading the game to countries that they don't have the know-how, the resources, the kind of ability to prepare turf wickets, or the weather, for that matter. Just one new batter out there now with Newey is Ben Febrash. He's a player I've been wanting to see for a while. Coming in at number 6 here. It's the end of the 10th over, so we're halfway through the reply. Guernsey are 46 for 4. I think I talked about I normally talk about the half-half split. So the first half of Norway's innings, they scored 38. They scored 99 in their second half. So right here, we have 46 in the first half, which means only 92 in the second. And I talked about them not wanting to let that rate get beyond 9. Well, now it is 9.2. That's what's required from here. A few people talking about Cher carrying on his form from the nets to the ground. Well, I don't know what kind of form he's been in the nets, but if it's anything like what we saw today, I wouldn't be lining up to bowl to him. If I did, I might be wearing a helmet. He was really good, wasn't he? Also, I don't think the bowlers bowled particularly well to him towards the end of the innings, where they gave him some length, gave him some slot deliveries. Abdullah Sheikh. This is well fielded, really well fielded. That's Wally Gorry. I wonder if we'll see him get a bowl. He was the first ever T10 international hat-trick taker, playing for Norway in the European Cricket Championship last year. Just played away off the back foot. Just a single. And what if I told you that we have not had a boundary except for that one off the no ball? So that's going to make things really tough to chase down. Score in the 130s. Well, right on cue. This one has a chance and it's going to get there. 4 runs. Good shot. Maybe slightly over pitch, but wasn't a genuine half volley. But he does take a good stride out and Yeah, really times that one well. That's a very good piece of batting. Yeah, so I think he'll be very, very happy about that. It's Newey. Gets the first boundary in a long time. Hits this one similarly, and this one gets through the field of Gary, but doesn't hurt him too much. Probably going to get one anyway. They did get a 2 on the slight fumble. Double fumble. Double run. There's got to be a point, kind of like when Stark comes to the crease, where Guernsey say, well, time to take some risks. And it paid off for him. Will it pay off for Guernsey when the rubber hits the road? Wow, it's a good delivery. Do like the Sheik, and it's revolutionary. He actually spins the ball. He actually spins the ball. Look at that one go. And gets a really good bit of bounce as well. This one also beats keeper. Into the over. Yeah, I like this from Sheik. See here, he's spinning a lot right to left. That's twice in a row he's beaten the outside edge, and twice the keeper's found it hard to handle. That's a sign of a spinner that's bowling well. Not just the turn, but the bounce as well. So he's bowled 2 overs. I wonder if you bowl him out here. I'd be tempted to, I think, considering that it is the kind of time in the innings where they want to raise the rate, and it won't be easy against Sheik if he's on a run. 53 for 4 after 11. Yeah, I mean, I think spin bowlers, or leg spinners in particular, they are the sorts as well. If they're going well, I would just leave them. I would just leave them. Yeah, get through his 4 overs. Just 1 to start the 12th. So they certainly have this concerted spin attack in the middle of the innings. Ever since the 8th over, when we saw Raza Iqbal come into the attack. It's worked for the most part. What was I saying? Keeper not picking the spin. Well, I don't think it's not that he's not picking it. I think that there was just a bit more spin than he thought. Passed over. Shoots through. I think, if anything, it was the bounce which did Kaiser Ahmed more than the actual side spin. It's the fact that as a keeper, you're kind of taught to stay low as long as possible, and then kind of don't start moving upwards until the ball bounces. It's easier to come up than down. That's the theory anyway. Might think about 2 here. They might get it. That's really good running. It's going to be one element of the comeback plan here for Guernsey. I often talk about, in the T10 format, I don't judge a game after just a few overs. I think you could say similarly, you don't judge a game in T20 after the first 10 or so. If you did, you would have said Norway had no hope. They were really struggling. That's the thing that when I first started doing T10, the thing that struck me the most was how many times the game and the momentum could change in such a short amount of time. And here, you can have as many momentum changes in a T20 match, but often the story plays out over just a slightly longer period. So bowled. Iqbal's been really good. That's the end of his 3rd over. He's got 2 for 14. 12 overs down. The score is 58 for 4. Beautiful day. You can see that the weather conditions are perfect for cricket. 20 degrees and sunny. It's a light breeze, maybe a medium breeze to be fair. You can see the Spanish team in the distance. The Spanish team are obviously the 3rd team in this series. We'll see them tomorrow morning for the first time. You can see it's kind of been consistent, but consistently, I suppose, less than what's required across the board. You see there's some of the Spanish guys. Christian Munoz Mills there, Spanish captain. Spotted Tom Vine there as well. And this one's in the air, and it's going to be caught. Well, slight misjudgment initially from Wahidullah Sahak. Well, he was coming in, but he had to put it in reverse, and when he did, he still found himself with room to move. And a wicket falls. That was the change in gears, wasn't it? 8 overs to go in this contest. And it's Newey who took the responsibility. Well, I thought off the bat that he had enough to get it over Wahidullah Sahak. And then he's just pretty pumped, because I think he was worried. He took 2, 3, maybe 4 steps in there, Wahidul Sahak. And then he realised the ball was going over his head. But that's the difference when you've got longer boundaries. You do have the real estate to work with, and he makes a good adjustment. Ends up taking it in a kind of awkward spot, but his hand technique was perfect. And so it will be a 5th wicket now for Guernsey. They're 57 for 5. The end of Ollie Newey goes for 14 of 12. So, yeah, fielding's so important, isn't it? So really enjoying these contests. Do we have a kind of twist in the tail here? It pretty hard. Hooper is out there. Mustn't have crossed on that catch. Because if they do cross, we're still, I won't say living in the dark ages, but living in the status quo, which is that if you cross on a catch, you do change hands. Slightly mistimed. Well, Hooper's going to have to hustle. In fact, I think Hooper had to hustle because the throw went to his hand, but I think for Brush, he was the one that was actually in trouble here. If they go to the bowler's end, Hooper was slow to go. That kind of maybe induced the throw, but to get through for a single, just checking this run rate required. It's now up and around 10.5 plus, which means if you don't get a boundary and over, it's pretty tough to get at the rate. Away, just one. So, yeah, for Brush, a big raps on him. Can someone pull a Mohammad Sher Sahak for Guernsey? That's what they're going to need. And, a few direct hits today. Haven't actually had a direct hit run out. It's an indication of the standard of cricket. We are seeing the stumps disturbed a few times from the infield. No timing there from Hooper. So, well, it's getting to mild panic now, I think, for Guernsey. 13 overs down. The score is 61 for 5. Had a question about Jersey. Well, Guernsey and Jersey, they are neighbours and they have a lot in common, but also a bit like Australia and New Zealand, where I'm from. There's a fairly healthy rivalry between them, as you can imagine. They have met 4 times in T20 International Cricket. Jersey have won all 4 of those. Although the first was in a super over. I remember that. It was all the way back on the 31st of May 2019. It was the first official T20 International between those teams. But people asking about the ranking of Jersey. It's 23 in the world. That's compared to Guernsey, who are ranked 38. You see 14th over starting now, and no surprises. Maz Iqbal is going to bowl it. He's bowling overs 8, 10, 12 and 14. So yeah, this kind of spin attack seems to be working. So if you just join us, the rankings of these teams in this tournament, we have 38, which is Guernsey, 39, which is Spain, 41, which is Norway. So you can see why it's going to be such a competitive tournament, you'd imagine. And certainly what I'm seeing from this match is that on any given day, either of the teams could beat each other, and that's what you like to see. Maybe Spain has a bit of a leg up, being on home turf, because they haven't been able to use these facilities before. Hooper tries to get funky. So yeah, 2 fielders guarding that part of the field. So I don't think it hits the bat at all. Now he pushes and just gets one. So I mentioned these three teams at this tournament are 38, 39 and 41. You might want to say, who's 40? I can tell you, 40 is Romania, coincidentally, which is where the European Cricket Series is at the moment, which will continue tomorrow with finals day. They want two here. It's a bit of a dodgy one. And, well, they decide to go bowlers then. Probably needed a direct. Maybe they would have gone to the keeper there. But that's an indication that Guernsey need to try and manufacture runs however they can now, as that rate creeps towards 2 a ball. And look, in ECS cricket, that's a bit more achievable with the dynamics of the game. But I think here, with the quality of the fielding, the quality of the bowling, and the slightly bigger field, it's a tall order, especially you've got two banners that aren't quite going at run a ball pace, and you need them to go at 2 a ball from here, essentially. Gets this one right off the end of the bat. And so it'll be the end of the 14th over. Raza Iqbal will finish with the very good figures of 2 for 18 of his 4 overs. Shinwari set things up at that end, bowling the first 3 overs from that end. Then they brought in Iqbal in the 8th, and yeah, he's been brilliant. So 14 overs down, score is 65 for 5. Well, coming up tomorrow on the European Cricket Network, we have more T20 international cricket. In addition to the fan code ECS Romania Finals Day, we have the 3 matches of T20I, starting with Norway, Spain. We'll see the host for the first time in match 2, and a rematch of this match in match 3, Norway Guernsey. You already know that that's a good contest. And then Spain versus Guernsey in the last match of the day, all starting 7 a.m. tomorrow GMT. That's 9 o'clock in Central Europe. 12:30 p.m. in India. It's a different start time every day in this ECI, European Cricket International Cricket. So if you've got 2 screens, tomorrow's a good day to fire them up. You'll get 4 games in finals day. That's going to be so unpredictable in Romania. Likewise here in the 20 over cricket. As we see Hooper trying that reverse again, but they've protected that area reasonably well. I would probably have them back on the ring now. I don't necessarily see the importance of taking a wicket compared to saving runs. So you have like a couple of those fielders in pretty close. It's a bit wide. I mean, this is the time, I think, that you don't even mind a 1 or even a 2, to be honest. I think you're just concerned with making sure they can't hit boundaries. This is down the ground, and a bit of work to do. Well fielded. Get back for a couple. But you see, even that, which is a pretty good shot, that gets 2, it's not quite enough to bring the rate down. And that's the concern at this stage. Talks a bit about these teams and their T20 International record so far since ICC granted all nations official T20 International status in 2019. Oh, that's a proper Gundy ball. Haven't seen many of those today, but probably just cost him 1. That's probably a sign that things aren't going right for Guernsey. Yeah, so Norway, they have a 2-8 record, so 2 wins, 8 losses. But I did notice with Norway, they've had a lot of good opposition. When I look at some of their, really all of their teams they've played. Come back to that in a second. Full toss, cracked, fielded at cover. Just a single. Yeah, they played teams like Italy, Jersey, Denmark, Germany, France, who one of the teams they beat. They also have a win over Germany. So, you know, obviously they've played some high quality opposition in European cricket. Okay, this time he does crack it. And this is what I was talking about. And they've got 2 fielders there. They went straight to one of them. You just feel like it's a bit early to call, but you feel like Mohammad Shah Sahak's been the difference between these 2 teams this afternoon. Back pretty well. Again, they've got that straight boundary pretty well covered with those 2 fielders. And in fact, you've got an extra 15 metres or so to work with, just as a game changer. Well done by Gordon. He had pretty quick reactions to get the big floppy hat out the way of that. So 15 overs gone. The score is 71 for 5. That rate now has climbed up well over 13 and over required. Graham Holmes saying he'll have a 2-screen day tomorrow. Well, I think I might have to as well. The problem here is because I'm commentating solo, I do have a bit of a responsibility to keep an eye on this game because I don't have Rico looking out for me in case I miss a ball. But yeah. Well, you got 2 eyes, so have one eye on one game, one eye on the other. We just love bringing you cricket on the European Cricket Network. And, thanks everyone for your support. It's been a really exciting adventure over the past couple of years since we have been broadcasting cricket full time, like I said. So now, with Raza Iqbal bowled out, we're going to see a change, and they're going to go back to Shinwari, who bowled the first 3 overs from the top end and bowled really well. It was now or never, really, you feel. And someone just running behind the sight screen. The other thing I will say, I'm not saying it's impossible for Norway, for Guernsey, I should say, just yet, but net run rate could be a factor in this series. Because remember, it's just the round robin. So if you are locked on the same amount of points, each team will play 4 matches. If you are locked on the same amount of points, net run rate is relevant. So it gets to the point that you don't think you can win. You still need to try and score as many runs as possible. Shinwari to Hooper. It's pretty well bowled. Yeah, I thought they'd be tempted to bowl Shinwari out his 4th over. But now I think, in hindsight for sure, it was a good idea to bring Raza Iqbal in. I suppose if Raza Iqbal hadn't worked out, they could have gone back to Shinwari to kind of just break that up a little bit. But the spin twins have done really well. Raza Iqbal and Abdullah Sheikh in the middle overs. And now he tries to get funky. It doesn't work. Yeah. A question from Joe Foster, just asking me, is the pitch a bit slow? I don't think so. What I would say is it's not what I'd say a really quick pitch, but it's even paced is what I would say. I just think we've seen the bowlers executing their plans really well and the batters looking a bit rusty of genuine match practice at this level. That's kind of how I've read this one today. And yeah, probably one extra comment on that. Just right off the end of the bat. I'll just get one. The other thing is, and it's not a criticism, it's more just an observation, is that I haven't seen too many batters really taking the game on, feeling comfortable taking the game on. We've seen occasional flashes of it, but Shezahak is the one guy that came out and said, well, it's going to be my way or the highway, and he came off, and he came off big. And the reason I don't think it's necessarily that the pitch conditions, I've seen a lot of balls hit hard, like that. I've seen a lot of balls hit hard, but they've been hit normally on the ground, normally at fielders. So that's probably my observation. Oh, it's only my observation. I mean, here in the chat, feel free to chip in as well with what you think about this, how this pitch has played so far, this first of 6 matches. This one could be a boundary. It's a long chase for the fielder out there. He does well. Once again, they get 2. I think it's 3. It's Raza Iqbal. Looks like a guy that's just bowled 4 overs. He wasn't fancying throwing the long throw into the wind, so he just shovels it off to Ali Salim. See Hooper, this is the difference as well. I mean, I thought maybe that had what it took to get to the boundary, but the fielder can kind of run around the rope and get a route to the ball. It makes it pretty tough to reach the rope unless you really hit it well. More work for Iqbal. This time he will throw. He bowls it in. Yeah, it was a proper quicker ball from Raza. He's already bowled the 4 overs. Count that as 4.1. Shinwari, well, he finishes his 4 with 1 for 16. He's been outstanding as well. Well, the left arm is doing the job at the top end. 4 of pace from Shinwari, 4 of spin from Raza Iqbal. 16 overs down. The score is 76 for 5. You can see the 8 overs at that end just going for 34 runs. So that's going to 4 to 4.5 and over from those 2. And really, all the bowlers have performed well. Look at those economy rates. They're all between 4 and 5.5. It shows you that they haven't had a bowler that's gone the journey. Bowled well as a unit. So you have seen all 5 bowlers now. Got to say hello to Ninj, and he's trying to work out how you can watch both at once. You don't have to watch them live either. You can always watch them later. I mean, I'll probably end up The ECS Romania a bit later, although I find it hard to avoid the score with you guys in the chat. So I might have to try and catch up in the breaks. Daniel Pockrell thinking Spain will win the series. But, I guess we'll have to find out. They'll be the last team to arrive on the field at least. Here's Vinay Ravi coming back. Crack down the pitch. I don't think they can even try for two here. It's the thing at this level, I mean, dodgy twos result in runouts more often because the fielders are just a higher standard. You don't get so many misfields. It's a good quality pitch. There's a lot of strong arms out there. Got to say hello to Andrew Hogan and, of course, Mrs. Hogan in particular. Nice to have you with us. And yes, it is me commentating, Mrs. Hogan. Maybe held slightly back by Ravi. Yeah, I mean, the other thing I think at this level is that regardless of the game situation, you know, the players are expected to maintain a certain standard. So right now, obviously that required rate's climbing out of hand, but you'll see Norway, they'll be just as intense in the field. This is the first step of a longer journey for both of these teams, don't forget. Each team will play 4 matches this weekend. Driven down the ground once again. One, and even though he fumbles that one, Abdullah Sheikh, the attack meant that they were just so uncomfortable taking a second run. And the spin twins, the ball keeps following them after they bowled their 4 overs, although I wouldn't say they'd be super tired. With, no big run up or anything, but I think probably just a bit of a mental thing for Brash. Just struggled to find his timing. Gets a fair bit of this one, but find the sweeper. Just a single. Yeah, Umar Patan saying, yeah, Mohammad Sahak's outstanding performance in this match, and he loves the way that he batted. Yeah, Umar, couldn't agree more. I think that one thing was there's that intent straight away from Mohammad Sahak. I don't think there's been a lack of intent, although they're going to take on a 2 here. It could be trouble, and it will be trouble. Hooper's going to have to go. It was a frustrating sort of an innings for Hooper, wasn't it? Yeah, I was talking about intent. There was no lack of intent at all from Hooper, but just everything he was trying wasn't coming off. In the end, he tries a 2 that's pretty much impossible at this level. You see, it's a smart throw. They know it's a longer run, essentially for Hooper, who doesn't have the head start because he plays the shot. So Gowrie is the man who gets it back to the keeper, Kaiser Ahmed. So it will be a 6th wicket now, 81 for 6. So give us your observations. And I know that a lot of you may have watched a fair bit of T20 cricket, probably more live than I have recently, so let us know how you think this game stacks up. What I will be interested is when these two teams meet in match 3 tomorrow. Looking forward to that. What I can say is it's a beautiful Friday afternoon, and I hope the weather stays this way tomorrow. I do think the forecast is pretty good for the weekend here at Desert Springs. Tomorrow we're expecting a maximum temperature of 21, 24 on Sunday, even nicer. We'll actually be taking a couple of weeks away from the furnace at ECN for a bit of time off. I don't get to do it very often, so I know that Rico and Andrew Ryan will be handling the first half of our Sweden, essentially month of May. Vinay Ravi, last ball of his 3rd over. Pitched up, driven down the ground. Gowrie does the work once again, showing off his arm. That's 17 overs down now. Guernsey 82 for 6. As Tom Nightingale is out there now with Fabrash. Yeah, well, just like that. Guernsey, I wonder what happened in this game. I can tell you what happened. 3 words, Mohammad Sahak, only batter to boss it. we've seen occasional decent shots. But, I mean, this innings, we've had 2 4s and no 6s. The other innings, if you take out Sher Sahak's boundaries, they had 3 4s and a 6. So there's 5 4s and a 6 in the game, non-Mohamed Sher Sahak. And he alone scored 6 4s and 5 6s. So just have a look at that. I want to say hello to Lily Panda. He says, it looks a picture, lovely scenery. Hello, Lily. Hope you're well. 3 overs to go in this one. A little bit short, mistimed, full shot. This is Wahidullah Sahak who's coming back on. This time at the top end. He's likely to bowl overs 18 and 20. Unless we see maybe, look, it's probably a good time to maybe try, if you have a 6 bowling option, or even a 7th at this stage. Because you would say that this is well out of reach now for Guernsey. Let's crack at this. I wonder if there's a bit of bat in this. It didn't seem like it was entirely pad. No signal from Andrew Elliott. Yeah, big inside edge from Febrash. Or domestic appeal from Kaiser Ahmed, but he'll be pretty happy to beat Guernsey for the first time in T20 International Cricket, official T20 International Cricket. These two had only met once before, and Guernsey were the team that won on that occasion. Slightly slower ball. Should take on the 2 here, I think, because it wasn't hit that hard. And they'll get there. One thing I would say, having not done a game like this for a while, is it does remind me a little bit of probably the standard of cricket I played, to be honest. And just the things that you're trained to do, the things that pretty much automatic, I suppose. It also reminded me what it's like to have good players around. It's not easy. This one's called a wide. So yeah, give us your observations in the chat. It's our first taste of ECI cricket. This one maybe gets a bit of line on the way through. I think the bowler's particularly happy with that call. So well, if you're going to have a call go against you, now it's probably not a bad time. Andrew Elliott there. I've got to say, umpires have done a good job as well. I know that it's been great to see Andrew Elliott out there with Gordon Ashford. I note Darren Clark got 3rd umpiring duties this time as well. It's called a wide again, but no real protest this time from Wahidullah Sahak. So Sahak searching for his 2nd wicket. This one goes to the leg side. Right, so those of you still around, I know that hopefully you know it's we've got 3 matches tomorrow in this series, also the 4 in Romania. I'm going to spend a couple of overs thinking, put my coach's hat on, not pretending to be a coach, but thinking, where's it gone wrong for the batters today? What I would say, more to my point earlier, I think there's been a little bit of a lack of intent and a bit of lack of risk-taking. Players have faced a lot of balls and not gone on with it. I mean, I know it's because they're trying to lift the rate, but that's what I talked about. You know, they put themselves under that kind of pressure, not being able to score. Although we have seen some good bowling, so maybe a couple of concrete things I can say in a moment about how I think maybe they could turn it around. This one chipped away, and say that the fields have been pretty good. The captains have set today. As we get to the end of the 18th over, the score is 90 for 6. Look, I think you'd be brave. You need to manufacture a bit more, and I'd be trying to manufacture towards the windy side. And when I say the windy side, I mean the left of screen. So I think it's there maybe haven't been as many risks or as much kind of moving around the crease to try and open that up as much as possible. Can't really criticise the running between the wickets. I think that all teams have looked pretty alert. I think the fielding standard has been reasonably high from both sides for the most part. I think that if you're braver earlier, then if you do get out, then someone else has more time to try and build an innings. Whereas the players have taken sometimes 15 to 20 balls to get in, and then when they've got out, it means that the new guy doesn't have a lot of time. Now Norway going to have a run-out chance here. They're going to miss. And well backed up by Gary. We had 3 to aim at there. Yeah, so I suppose it's the same sort of stuff as saying T10, but obviously it's not quite as extreme. It's sort of been out by meters. But if you're going to get out, make it quick. So I'm not saying you have to go straight away, but you know, once you have that 5 or 6 balls, then I think it's time. I don't think you can drift to about 15 or 20 balls. A ball by Ravi. He's bowling out here. And we might have another run out, and we will. So it's going to be Fabrash that's run out. So it's a nice bit of fielding. Once again, that is Gowrie, who was able to fire it back to the bowler. Nice work. So Fabrash has got to go. So, I mean, it's been a highly entertaining game, is what I'd say. And you know what I said at the very beginning, the difference between a T10 and a T20 match, you're still going to get some twists and turns. They just play out over a kind of a bigger canvas, and that's what we saw today. We saw pretty much 13, 14 overs where Guernsey were well on top. And when you think about how it turned around and who turned it around, it was the one player that was seriously willing to go for his shots from the very first ball that he faced. So maybe there's a lesson in that. Away, finding a sweeper out there. And look, I'm very careful not to take pot shots from the commentary box, because I know I've been out there. I know that it's a lot easier when you're looking from outside the field in. But I think the players will have the benefit of watching this game back as well. That's one of the things I'm sure that all the coaching and management will be doing of these two teams. All the players saying, okay, well, how are we going to approach things? How are we going to approach it if, you know, if we're 3 off 6? Is that the time to take a risk, or you know, what are our plans for different situations? That's something these players and coaches think a lot about. The wide down leg side. Batter out there is Dec Martel. Thought he bowled pretty well. I have to say, just got a couple of overs from him, but I've seen some really good wrist spin in this game. Martel certainly didn't do himself any harm. And, you know, also obviously, look at Abdullah Sheikh, the way he's bowled in this innings for Norway. Block hole delivery. Hey, Ravi has been kind of the under the radar good bowler here for me, for Norway. I think he opened up. Okay, he had the one ball that got away from him where he was hit to the boundary off a high full toss. But apart from that, he's bowled with good rhythm, good control. He's hit hard. Tom Nightingale. And this is kind of what I said when people think maybe is it the pitch conditions and you know, all these things. Look, it's not the fastest pitch I've ever seen. It's certainly not slow. I think the bowlers have bowled well. And like I say, the fact that the batters, a lot of them have hit the ball hard and hit the ball pretty well, but they just haven't been able to hit the ball into gaps. They haven't really been able to elevate. I think the wind's been a bit tricky, particularly to that right-hand side of the field. As well, this might be out. And, well, give it not out. End of the over, it'll be 96 for 7. Certainly heard a noise. Didn't have a great view of it from my angle, so I'll look at it on the replay now with you guys. Now, well, bowler wasn't particularly excited by it. I think I would have been yelling for it, but too bothered in the end. Clearly, I don't think it hit. If it hit anything, it was bat, but maybe it hit nothing. Maybe one. We'll never know. Maybe the battle will tell us later. Anyway, it is the end of the 19th over. 96 for 7 as we head into the last over. All right, last overtime. So just dug out. As we will see Wahidul at Sahak close things out. Just want to say a big thank you to everyone in the chat. obviously it's nice to be able to chat with you guys. I've really enjoyed it. Ninja said he's really going to try and sort out the double screen situation tomorrow. Maybe you can kind of cast one to your TV if you have one. Maybe you can watch one on your phone. Give some ideas. Ahmed saying, yeah, lack of match practice on both sides. Yeah, something I talked about earlier. I said that, you know, both teams are short of matches, but I think as a batter, it's more difficult because the consequences are more dire for making mistakes. A bowler can bowl a bad ball and can come back and still bowl a good spell, but if a batter gets out, then that's it. So, yeah, I think that's a really good point that you make. Looks like Ninja was accidentally blocked by Wazza. Bit of drama late in the chat. Well, the drama's in the chat. Looks like he's been unhidden now, but that surprised me. What's he said? Gets a little bit of bat on this. Doesn't realise it gets past the keeper, but it does. So they'll get one. I know I've got Andy in the chat saying, is it weird commentating from an angle rather than straighter like I would in an ECS? Well, I'm not in a terrible position here. I'm still just a bit wider mid-off. But, I mean, I'm pretty adaptable. I've got to say, Spring Productions are doing a great job with the resources available here. I think we've really enjoyed the afternoon. Swing and a miss. It's a heart. I think when we look at the bowling figures, and we'll see them after the game, of course, we'll see that it's been a really good team effort from Norway. I think we'll look at all of their bowlers, and we'll see that none of them have even gone for a runner ball. And that just shows me, you talk about, you know, batting in partnerships, bowling in partnerships. Essentially, they've got a 5-man partnership. That has been really good for them today. Last ball of the day, and it will bring up the 100, but it won't be enough for Guernsey. The final score in match 1 of this 6-match T20 International Series, it will be Norway that win it. Norway 137, Guernsey 100, a 37-run victory. Well done to all the players out there. And thanks again for everyone for joining us. And like I say, both these teams will end up playing 4 matches in this series. They'll play each opponent twice. We know these two teams, they will meet in match 3, which is the middle match tomorrow. We have 3 matches tomorrow. And yeah, we'll see. We've got Norway. Well, they'll be first up against Spain. And I think it's probably a good thing that they've got 1 game under their belt, 1 win under their belt. And Spain, they've been preparing for a while for this. And I want to see what they're bringing to the table. Slightly new look Spain team as well. It all starts again tomorrow, 7 a.m. GMT, which is 9 o'clock in Central Europe, 12:30 p.m. in India. We have matches at 9 a.m. Central Europe, as well as 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. Don't forget, we have the ECS finals in Romania as well tomorrow. So a smorgasbord of cricket as we go back to the highlights. And it was 138 to win. A bit of acrobatic stuff to start things off. And, well, that was a nice catch by Gari. That one went down. And you see, the frustration. It was absolutely zinked. Amateur Sahak, you can't really criticise his day. And it was Vinay Ravi. Bowled well, also not afraid to get a bit down and dirty. This was a frustrating one, wasn't it? And this is an example of what I was talking about. Stokes, he ends up chipping that one into the wind. It holds up. He gets caught for 15 off 18. Nice catch taken out there by Abdullah Sheikh. And then for me, I think Shinwari bowled really well with his left arm at the top end. But then when they brought this spin in, that's when the game really kind of got out of control for Guernsey. I think Raza Iqbal bowled 4 good overs from that end, and he was supported by Abdullah Sheikh. And 8 overs of spin that just showed their hand about what their tactics would be. They weren't afraid to kind of just keep the slow bowling going. Eventually it resulted in the wicket of Butler, who 17 off 28, again, a sign that the batters did struggle with one notable exception in this first game. That was the first boundary in a long time. This one, slight misjudgment. Wahidullah Sahak. A bit of hey presto, now you see it, no you don't. He waves it over the rope, and he stayed inside. This rate just got out of control. Hooper, well, he tried everything. Tried all the shots in the book and some that weren't. He ended up getting run out going for a second that just wasn't on, but he kind of knew at this stage. And it was all one-way traffic at Norway. They'll be so happy to get over the line, 137 to 100. Well, you don't have to be Einstein to know who the player of the match will be in match one. Mohamed Sahak with his 70 off 29 balls. That's in a game where no other batter would pass 25. And nobody even passed 20 for Guernsey. You see that kind of 6 players reached double figures, but nobody could pass 17. It's just a case that no one was able to get any sort of fluency in their batting. And look, let's see if that changes. And I think it will change. I think for all of the batters heading into the weekend, the top scorer in the end was Josh Butler, the captain, who did score 17 but used up 28 balls. Like I say, I talked a bit about intent during that innings, and I think for a lot of batters there was no lack of intent, and sometimes, you know, when they did finally play a shot, it just didn't come off. And as far as the bowling went, this is what I was talking about. You see that no bowler for Norway went even at run of ball pace. That's a really good team effort. Like I said, Vinay Ravi might have been the unsung hero. Raza Iqbal takes the figures, 2 for 18 off his 4 overs. And also wickets for Abdullah Shinwari, the left-arm seamer, as well as Wahidullah Sahak. And Abdullah Sheikh with his leg spin chipped in with 1 for 20 off his 4 overs. So all the bowlers going between 16 and 23. Well, if you do that, you're going to win a lot of cricket matches. And I talked about, you know, European cricket T20 internationals. And a lot of the time, if you can get a score 120 above, it's pretty competitive. And I'd say, you know, if the players had a bit more practice, I'd say around that 130, 140 would be par. But I think anything this weekend, 120 plus, you're going to stand up. And so there's the match summary. It's the one match today, and we have Spain debuting tomorrow in the series. There'll be 3 matches tomorrow. We'll have 2 matches on Sunday, and we certainly hope you've enjoyed it. Well, we have a great time here at the Desert Springs Resorts, and on a beautiful, picturesque, and fairly long evening. We've still got a couple of hours before the sun goes down. Hope that you have a wonderful night as well, wherever you're watching around the world. Now, it's been a big day of cricket. Big thanks to all the Blue crew, both in Romania and here, to Mahel and Nilkesh, and to all the local organisers, to Spring Productions, to everyone, to the players, officials, everyone involved in this magnificent series. We hope you have a happy and safe evening. It's Vinny Sander here, Mr. Maximo for the European Cricket Network. Hopefully you can join us again, because 3 more matches on the way, and Spain, well, they'll be out there in the middle. And I can't wait to see the hitman running in a Spanish jersey. We'll see you tomorrow on ECN for more ECI Spain International T20. We'll see you tomorrow. Hasta mañana.